Life 24 Island Life. On the Dragon Island, the group now stands in front of a layout of the given area where Locke was. Akari, okay, so if we try and attack from here, then perhaps we could get the bear. Ria's fair, but look at it from here, moving along that line long enough might just trigger the other nest nearby. She pointed it and she was right, it wasn't too far away, and with all the commotion then it would cause problems if another nest had to attack them. Suri, maybe just maybe, if we get Kaneko and Myra to build a barrier and change the terrain a bit, then maybe they won't be bothered. Sona, not a bad idea, so then we would have that added advantage because we will be ready for that area change. Irina, okay, so we all agree those of us who prefer aerial combat will stick to the skis and those of us who want to be on the ground should be ready for another glacier attack from it. They all nodded. Kiba, what about this spot here? As they were discussing their plan of action, Corvo could be seen in the shadows watching them. Corvo, I suppose they need to learn the hard way. They young, Locke is only going to be tamed by Shin at this rate. They can try all they want, the other nests will be easier, maybe not that one of my brothers, but it's good that they persistent on getting Locke to go down, but I wonder if Minami steps up to tame it. It was her aunt's pet. Everyone look here. They looked to the side and saw one of the tribe women come running with a newspaper, getting everyone's attention. Hancock, what's the problem? Girl, look, Lord Shin and Saji have taken over Whole Cake Island. She showed the photo and saw the four of them handling the island with the title big of who is he and why is one of the former Devil Kings with him and the Governor General of the Fallen Angles with them. Little do they know this reached everyone, including Heaven and the Devil faction. Michiel, so it looks like we have a new player in the mix. They seem to making strides, don't you think? Gabriel nodded before she spoke. Gabriel, indeed, Shin seems to be bringing the Dragon Clan back from the grave, and looking at the extract, the one next to him must be the new Master of Darkness. They speak about how he used shadows. Toji, that means my daughter is with them then. She was with the Gremory family last I saw of her. Michiel, indeed it looks like the outcomes are set. It's our duty now to proceed with the group we believe to have the most probable outcome to win. Let's see where the new Dragon Island is. I haven't seen it since my younger days. They all began looking for it so they can go and meet the new king. With the Devil faction in the Bale territory, Seryorg was reading the newspaper and was happy to see that his hunch was correct and that it's Issei still fighting back. Seryorg, let's see if my peerage can get any information on the Dragon Clan news, and if memory serves me correctly, Amazon Lily was where Issei was sent a year ago. Perhaps I should go pay it a visit. He put down his tea and got everything ready, moving the last bit of the family in the event. With his absence, something would happen to them, mainly his mother, who resides in an eternal slumber. In the Phonics territory, Ravel had a smirk on her face, showing Riser and Ruvel the paper. Ravel, hopefully we can still join him. Things seem to be moving the way we thought. Riser, then we need to find the new Dragon Clan territory. Ruvel, wasn't Issei sent to Amazon Lily not too long ago? Ravel, will it to start? Back on the Dragon Island. Rise, I don't believe it, they actually did it. Grafia, well that means they are good and we don't need to worry about anything yet. They seem to be working hard. I suppose your group is next. Have you handled that bear? All of them started looking despondent. Akari, no, there's something up about that bear. It's not even in the books. Uncle Corvo, are you sure you don't know anything about it? Corvo shook his head. Corvo, no, these are new. I've never seen them before. Minami sighs, well, let's go. It's water-based, so I think this time I should take the lead along with Sona. Aquino, before we go again, how's development been going? Sirafal, one city is known as Pyrrhus Capital, has been rebuilt to a decent extent. Most of Hancock's people have already moved in for the time being. Hancock, then let's not forget the gate system around the island that is also going, but we only have 2 gates open, the one in Pyrrhus Capital, and then the one by that ice bear. Akari, don't worry, you will get it sorted. They all nodded and went to do their duties. With Shen and the new crew. Katakuri, so how long have you been the Dragon King? Shin, about a year now, fully active maybe about a week ago. Cracker, talk about jumping into the deep end. Shin, tell me about it. Katakuri, I know we are on guard watch, but I have a question. Shin, shoot. Katakuri, why spare us when you have full capability of finishing us off within seconds? Shin, I don't know, your sister appealed to my better nature. Cracker, fair trust is something this isn't something to easily come by these days. Shin, exactly, which is why I don't let people in so easily these days. Hell, it's been a wild few days. He looked forward. Katakuri, would you let us join the clan? We've done nothing but conquer as part as mother's group. Shin, I'll have to see right now. I don't have the capability of turning you at this moment. They both nodded. Cracker, suppose we could be your wardens and generals when needed. Shin, got that covered. The redhead with me is my general. Each affinity has one to my knowledge, so mine, and there's only Terra and Darkness left. If you want to be a general, plus, you don't get to pick. The way it works, you'll only get a chance to pick from the options it gives you, like I have a Black Knight and excellent swordsman as well. Katakuri, I see, so we will only know our new roles later on. Shin, pretty much, so don't get your hopes up just yet. They nodded and sat in relative silence, despite the sound of the wind ringing in their ears. Shin, I wonder what this Doflamingo is like. If he's anything like the rest, then I don't think I have much to worry about. I wonder how the family is doing back home. A few hours later, back on Dragon Island, the group was spent and hurt. Locke actually beat them this time, and badly. They all sat in the infirmary resting and healing. Gasper, how about we change the nest we going to? Maybe if we find an easier one, then maybe we could either find something or learn something to help us with the bear. Akari, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Minami couldn't agree more. Suri, yeah, hopefully a different nest would help a bit. It's like going up against a main boss when you level 1. Myra, but I'm surprised Minami and Sona haven't done anything yet. Minami, what do you mean? Myra, it's a water monster, isn't it? So wouldn't you be able to stop most of that ice attack before it can set it off? Sona, I tried myself. There's a weird feeling when we're in that area. I feel stronger, but at the same time that bear is irradiating so much power, it's monstrous in nature. Corvo sipped his tea, listening to them speak in the distance. Runes, you know something, don't you? She had a teasing look on her face, and he nodded. Corvo, perhaps I do, but it's for them to learn and figure out. They don't realize it yet, but they getting stronger, way stronger than when they got here. Runes, want to tell me what you know? I wouldn't tell them. I understand what you're trying to do with them. Corvo, there are 6 beasts, each one related to affinity, which was each master's pet. That bear's name is Locke, and he's Shin's mother's pet, and one of the most protected and dangerous beasts to find other than my brother's beast. What they don't know is when Kyoko and Kendrick had Shin, their control over their pets went to the Shin, so it's not going to listen to them or get taken down since Shin hasn't told it to let them win. Runes, so each nest is where each beast went to rest, huh? Makes sense. I suppose this makes up for what most of them did to Shin, but here's my question. The other beasts, are they ready yet? Corvo, no, to tame the beast you need to prove to it that you're the new master of the element. I mean, if Minami was stronger, then perhaps Locke would have listened to her as the new master of water, but this is a very big, but she's not ready, and they know the Shin would have a better time taming them for them, which is a good thing he's gone, because he can make them more docile and controllable, because they would see the stronger power behind who is giving them new orders. Runes, so how long do you think it would take them? She sipped her tea and ate a biscuit. Corvo, Shin might be back and they wouldn't have done much in my eyes. Akari has a decent chance due to her current output. It's stronger than the rest, but she's not mentally here yet. She's still thinking back to her old life before Shin. Runes, well then let's watch the show. I'm sure a lot of growing for them would happen. He nodded and they enjoyed the rest of the night. The next day they all woke up and were busy getting done for the morning before they either attempted to take care of Locke or moved on to the next beast. They were silent for most of the morning. Even during breakfast it was completely silent besides Milika's, who was learning who to talk. Riaz was looking at her phone, then came across a video of Shin before he was banished, and he was singing in the shower. https://youtube/vqnjxiz6ne. As she started the video they could hear Issei's voice, and it was something they never thought they would need to hear right now. As the video finished they heard Riaz speak in the video. Rise, that was a nice one, you sang it well, my love. Shin, yeah, I've had my fair share of problems, but I need to push them aside and get over them one step at a time. Plus, just cause something happened today doesn't mean something better is going to happen tomorrow. I've been looking for things that drive me to be the person I want to be. Rise, and what's that? Shin, well, for starters, my new life with you all. I know I'm a devil, but I still feel blessed to have you all in my life. And I want to make you all proud. That's what drives me to be who I am today. I have something I want to work towards, and it'll be damned if something or someone stops that from happening. The video ended because Riaz must have realized that she was still recording at the time of the video, and they all sat with Issei's song and words afterwards. Venelana, Riaz dear, where did that come from? Riaz, it's a video I took of him sinning in the shower at the time we were sharing a shower and bath, and I was in the bath when this was taken. I remember because the next day we fought with Cockabale. Akari, I think we needed to hear those words. I think deep down we can all agree we've been leaning on someone to try and help and assist us. 4 of us are meant to be masters of the elements that make up the dragon clan. 2 of us are out making a difference while we here and can't fight one bear. Riaz, you're right, we need to get stronger, not just for Shin, but for ourselves. Sure, most of us have new powers we've never had before, but that's no excuse anymore. Irina, I'm tired of feeling weak. I think let's first get a grip on our abilities, then we confront the bear and see how strong we can get while clearing out the other gates. They all nodded, feeling motivated, and they all got up and left. Ranes, well, looks like even gone. He's motivating those around him. The group stood in front of the lock, and this time Minami and Sona started with something that shocked the others. They created a massive tidal wave, and as it hit lock they froze it. Akari, Akino, and Gasper took the skis and created a lightning storm and shocked lock. Riaz, Kibasuri Arena with Myra and Kaneko made a massive blinding flash to disorient it. Then Momo and Tsubaki covered up with a massive gust of wind, knocking lock out of its nest before they could even retaliate. It did something neither of them could imagine in power. It turned the area around them into ice, and they all felt weaker. Beside Minami and Sona, they felt a boost. Sona, wait, don't do anything, trust me. She placed her hands on the ground, and the ice split, creating a few areas for them to stand and fight. Minami then provided ice tunnels for everyone to move around. Akari started ice skating using the wind to boost her speed, then used her mother's spear, and she felt a massive boost of power within her. She then went to one of the ramps, and once she was midair, she covered herself with scales and turned into a small dragon a few meters smaller than the bear. The others instantly went to work, and Kiba and Gasper created a smoke screen that was controlled by Momo, Tsubaki, and Aknio. Then Akari charged the bear and knocked it down further. But it rolled into a ball and ran her over with massive ice spikes. But she quickly recovered with her wings and scales still covering her body similar to Shin. Then Minami channeled her power boost to try and help. But then scales started growing on her arms, and she did something similar to Akari. But instead of the air, she dived into the water and then came out and used her tail to hit Locke to the side, then turned similarly like Akari, and both stood ready. Waiting for Locke to make its next move, the family was watching and surprised to see how far they got. Even the island woman and the new settlers from Whole Cake came and watched the fight. Corvo, they running on instinct at this point. Suri then started skating in the bowl of ice that surrounded them, and she added her light to it, and she started moving faster and faster till she spun out in her dragon form and created a beacon of light, making Locke look at it. Myra started running towards it and did a spin kick with the earth and hit Locke that broke one of the pillars of ice that locked it down, and as she recovered, her scales burst through and she turned into her dragon. Locke set off a massive roar, and all the other beasts besides fire and darkness came running. A massive bird-like creature arrived. A massive bipedal tiger then ran to them and roared at them. Then a massive earth monster with 4 arms arrived and shook the earth beneath them. Sona and Irina felt a boost of power from their leaders, and they were able to don themselves in the armor of the monarch. Riaz, Kiba, Gasper, Momo, and Tsubaki could feel the power difference. Even Corvo, Sirafal, and the rest of the Gremory family could feel this boost of power. They all stood ready and charged at the beast that turned into vile, glowing their colors, and went to them. The power immediately dissipated, and they dropped their forms and boosts in confusion. Akari, what just happened? The vials then started floating, then it all went to each of them, and then they turned into small forms of them that seemed way too friendly. Corvo, congratulations, you activated your powers partly to the point like Shin and my apprentice. You now have your mother and father's pets that they left behind, Locke the Ice Bear, Skyrus the Wind Phoenix, Vertex the Earth Guardian, and finally Tigress the Tiger of Light. They all looked at him. Siri, you know. Corvo, of course I knew, it's your parents' pets, and my job is to have you grow. What good will it do if I just told you how to handle them? Now look, you are one step closer to perfecting your powers. They were all about to protest, but then Hancock spoke up. Hancock, that aside, we have guests that were found of the coast of the southeast coast. It was a massive group and a lot of them were excited while others were busy observing the new land they were on. The group ranged from kids to adults to even seniors. Hancock, as you can see, they are the people liberated from whole cake. Shin told them to find me with the hopes we have homes set up. Bartender, to be fair, on the way here we were kind of expecting to need to help set something up, so this doesn't seem too bad. It does seem like you have a few houses up. Sirafal, this is just one region. The main region by the volcano over there is about 90% completed and the rest is starting to trickle down. Venelana, indeed, but come with us while our leaders catch their breaths. We can show you around in the meantime. They nodded and followed the council group and Corvo stayed with them. Corvo, remember those creatures you are holding like pets are dangerous creatures and all submit to the element master or the king. To be fair, I was expecting Shin to come back to tame all these things with the rate you were going at. Myra, seems like you never had much faith in us in the beginning. They felt a bit sad about it but ultimately let it go and to hear him out. Corvo, opposite actually, I knew you could do it, just not as soon. Your growth is sporadic. You three don't even know Shin at the same level as the others and he motivated you and now look, you unlocked your dragons in a matter of a week. And then even the ex-devil group, you all got a surprising amount of control for your first times really using the powers. They looked at each other realizing that he was right. Within a week, they grasped their powers. Now was to master it. Riaz, still thank you, but we are still far from being done. Akari, she's right, we don't even know how to fight yet. I think we can be of service. Sorry we took so long, this place isn't easy to find. They turned around shocked to see just happened to arrive. With Shin, he and the group found themselves nearing the next island. Shin, is that it? Katakuri, yes. Cracker, what are we going to do? Sure, killing them is one thing, but we can't just enter that place. Sirzechs, damn it, he's right. I remember signing off on some higher-up protection for them because they were just a pain to deal with. Think back to Riser before you kicked his ass. Shin nodded, then grabbed the anchor and tossed it down into the water. Saji, you better have a plan. Shin, yay, here's the plan. We all gonna need to be on our game, and that's coming from all of you, okay? They all nodded, agreeing with him. A few days before they arrived, Vali and his team arrived on the island. Karuka, the place seems nice, don't you think? Biko, yeah, seems pretty chilled. They walked around and were met with some guards that stopped them from proceeding any further. Guard, state your business here. Vali, I am Vali, Lucifer, White Dragon Emperor. I was sent here to speak to Dulpamingo. The guards all looked at each other and looked at a few reference photos, then nodded and let them in. Vali, this better not waste my time. That bastard better show up. Albion, are you sure you're ready? He didn't respond and completely ignored Albion, confident that he's ready. Chapter ends. Life 25 Standoff. Shin and the others made it to the island, and to their surprise the place was calm. It confused them a lot. They knew of their deeds on whole cake, yet no one seemed to be bothered by it. Saji, I'm not the only one, right? Shin, no, something's wrong. Katakuri, perhaps we should split up and attempt to see if we can get things running now. Could save us some time. Shin, no, they know our faces, they would react too quickly. And given your guys' roles with Big Mom, they will also be aware. I think we just chill here for a bit and see what comes and goes. Smoothie, indeed you are an interesting one, Lord Shin. Shin shook it off. Since a while after they left whole cake, those who joined him started referring to him as Lord Shin. He didn't mind, but it wasn't something he was entirely used to begin with. They just stayed where they were being covered and hidden well, and with a large amount of foot traffic where they were hidden in a garden in part of the city, they would and could hear a lot of information at once. They sat in silence, keeping things chill and calm, waiting for the right moment to make their move. As they were waiting and listening, around it was small talk that just irritated Shin to his core about how they were talking about his clan and how he was truly the unworthy one, but kept his cool. They knew what he was going to do to all of them. Then it finally happened, a moment they could learn something real. They watched as two guards who looked tired and couldn't be bothered to do their job stood right in front of the bush with their backs turned towards them. Guard, my god, this is troublesome. Guard 2 agreed. I mean, who does he think he is, the Dragon King? Please, he's just some kid playing dress up at this point, causing problems for everyone when been fine all this time. Guard, but still he's proved to be a bit of a threat to the whole celestial dragon line. Big Mom never stood a chance. I mean, he took out Katakuri and the rest of his siblings who were monsters themselves. If he keeps this up, then he might get the people to stand with them to stand against him, then watch them make us deal with it. I am tired, man. Guard 2, please, as if he's nothing. If I saw him, then I'll show that brat who's boss. He's just a kid, he's not that scary. Shin had enough and grabbed them into the bush and used his claws to cover their mouths, prompting Azazel and Sirzechs to strip away their clothing and tools, got changed, and went on their way to get more information for Shin, no questions asked. The guards started panicking because they didn't expect them to be here in the exact bush too. Shin, pissed, so then I'm nothing you say. His mouth started to spit and his teeth grew razor sharp with his red glowing eyes. It scared the two guards, not expecting him to be this scary up close, that they started to piss themselves in fear seeing a monster in front of them ready to kill them at any moment. Shin, now then I'm only going to ask once, lie and try and scream, your lives will be finished faster than you can blink, understood? They nodded in fear. Shin, good, tell me where is everything belonging to my clan? He let them go and they hit the floor. Guards scared, we don't know much, but that the Donquixote family have access to anything and everything. They provide blessings to others to give them their boost of power. Saji, okay, so how many are there? Guard 2, scared, about 6 main members, the rest I personally wouldn't worry about. Shin, and why is that? Katakuri, baby 5, is the weakest of the 6, still a problem, but she's someone that can be easily persuaded with a marriage proposal. The rest below her ranking really don't pose any bother, we can easily handle them, my lord, but those above her might need a bit more to deal with. Shin sighed and nodded. Shin, who are the rest? Guard, scared, besides Donquixote you have Pika, Senior, Pink, Law, Bellamy, then baby 5, they run this island and keep it relatively safe for them with the relics you speak of and the bodies of the old dragon clan. Shin, what else is there to know? Guard 2, Seared, the White Dragon Emperor is here to assist him with the possibility of your arrival in the next few days. Shin, good. With one pull he broke their necks and let their bodies hit the ground. Shin, you heard him, stick to the plan. Saji, fine, but what about you? Shin, I'll handle volley, given that they gave us a few more days before we got here. My arrival now would throw some plans out the window. If I know volley, he's going to ask to be first to intercept me due to being rivals of power. It will only be him. Cracker, and if the Donquixote family makes a move? Shin, they won't, they would first want to gauge me. I won't go full out, I won't even fully transform. Volley isn't something I'm too worried about, that family is. Divide and conquer and follow the plan. They all nodded and he jumped out of the hiding spot and used his Zetten and caused massive red clouds to come and get their attention. Shin just walked through the town, and anyone that got in his way, he cut them down, leaving a trail of blood as he walked, staining the streets in the blood of the demand. As he got towards the house, he stood in front of the main house with a smile on his face, and the rest of the guards all surrounded him ready to take his life, but Shin gauged the devils surrounding him and they were mid-class at best. Shin, is that how you treat someone who can kill you in seconds? You speak a lot of shit, you know that. He looked up and saw everyone he knew was here looking at him, ready to attack him within moments. Shin took a deep breath and purposely broke the necks of all the guards around him, and just to spit in Donquixote's face, he killed a good amount of celestial dragons in the process. Walking here, they looked behind him and saw the massive trail of blood he left behind him and realized that this is the real deal. Shin, you're next, Donquixote, that's a promise. He grinned and Donquixote matched his smile, liking his enemy already. Donquixote, I'm a man of my word, I'll let this dragon fight you as promised. Volley didn't waste any time and rushed Shin, who just turned to the side and elbowed him in his back, then kicked him hard enough in the stomach to send him into the wall, but the force he used sent him through 2 houses, not just a single wall. Shin immediately saw how weak he was and decided to torment Volley a bit more. Shin, my god, did you even train? I mean, Donquixote, did you know my mother took his eye out and she was significantly weaker at that point? Donquixote, amused, you don't say. He snapped his fingers and the others all left. Donquixote carried on watching the fight between the 2 emperors with the rest of Team Volley, who could see the difference in Shin within seconds. Volley started getting angry and donned his balance breaker, and Shin didn't even cover himself with scales. Volley tried to hit him multiple times, but Shin either dogged them or caught them and hit him in the chest repeatedly. then used a mix of his Dragon King fire and normal fire and uppercut him into the air, then jumped up to match the height his body went. Then, before he could recover, he flip-kicked him with his strength back into the ground. Then as he bounced off the ground, Shin kicked him to the side. Volley, in pain. This can't be. I am better. I am superior to you. I always was. How is this possible? Volley then started sparking with some black energy and pulled out a sword. This power started to form black veins all over his body and armor. Draig, be warned Shin, that's Offai's power now. If handle that, then we definitely can handle it when we cross paths. Shin nodded and got ready for what magic bullshit Volley was going to try, but it wasn't what he expected. Volley just started swinging his sword, and with each slash that came from it, a dark wave of energy followed, like how Shin uses a fire slash. They were slow and easy to dodge in real time. Shin didn't even need his heightened senses. As he got closer, the waves stopped, and Volley was aiming for his head. He tried swinging at Shin, who just parried each attack and hurt Volley with each parry. Shin, really? This is all you're capable of? How pathetic. Even with a gift from Offai's, it still wasn't enough to match up to me. Shin kicked his mouth and then watched as Volley slowly pulled himself up from the ground, his body burning with pain. But he wasn't going to lose this fight. He was determined of that. He could hear the voices in his head warning him. I will personally kill her if you don't prove yourself so weak. No wonder you were kicked out the family, filthy half-breed. Volley, shut you p. He started speeding up his attacks, and Shin could match that speed better than Volley could, but there was something off about Volley. Shin could see it since the fight started. There was a stick of desperation reeking from Volley. Shin took a deep breath and used his Zeton to restrain him mid-swing and put a lot of pressure on Volley's body. Shin, are you okay in the head? You seem desperate. What are you hiding? Volley didn't say anything and tried to free himself, but he couldn't. Tears started forming in his eyes as he struggled even more, and Shin just saw a pathetic man fighting in front of him, and the fact it was so one-sided didn't sit well with Volley. That much was clear. Shin, why are you really here? There's no way you came here to help Donquixote. You're this weak, yet you trying to one-up someone who can end you faster. You realize I'm not even trying, right? You're giving it your all, yet you haven't laid one attack on me. Volley, he's going to kill her. I can't let him do that. She's the last family I have left. He tried fighting more, but it was useless. Shin, really, over a woman? I mean, sure, I get that, but looking at your teammates, they don't even know what you're on about. He looked to the side and could see their confusion clearly written on their faces. They thought he's doing this for something else, but now he's talking about a family. Shin slammed him down into the ground a few times to try and knock some sense into him. Shin, so are you going to talk now? Volley, giving up my mother. He's going to kill her if I don't beat you. He finally broke out and charged Shin again and continued to fight Shin with everything he had as a last push, but Shin just felt Albion sorry that his host was letting his emotions run wild. Shin pushed him back, and Volley slammed his hand down into the ground. Volley, tired and beat. Why isn't this enough? I am powerful. People fear me. I am the White Dragon Emperor. How am I losing to the Red Dragon? Shin, because I'm not the Red Dragon anymore. I just happen to have Draig at this point, and he's loving it. He brought out the gems, and they could hear Draig laughing at how pitiful Volley and Albion were. Draig, laughing, please, I can't anymore. I can't. It's too good to know they nothing compared to us now. Shin made the gems go away. Shin, you know, a year back we were somewhat on the same level, but then I surpassed you so much, so it's almost sad. I mean, dude, what do you have to show for this life you have? Azazel works for me now, so does Sirzechs and the whole Gremory family, and so does Seraphal and Sona Leviathan. I have done so much in a year, yet you can't even land one hit on me. Pathetic. You don't deserve to be called the White Dragon Emperor. Volley got even more pissed and started a chant. Volley, I whom about to awaken. They are going to be blasted away. They certainly are going to be blasted away. I'm the heavenly dragon who lost all to the principles of supremacy. The dream will end, the illusion will begin. I envy the infinite and I pursue the dream. Everything, yes, give us everything. I shall become the white dragon of supremacy. And I shall take you to the limits of innocence. As he did the chant, hearing the mixed voices of both anger and sadness, with the previous users of the dividing gear all chanting at the same time, creating a full transformation. And he used Juggernaut Drive and charged at Shin, who showed off a fraction of his strength, and stopped the attack. They broke the ground home and the whole area around behind him, killing more Celestials. Watching from what they thought was a safe watching distance was killed within seconds. That was something not even Donquixote expected from Shin in terms of strength, or even the rest of the team. Volley. Shin, this is your best, you weak. Remember that when you wake up. Shin broke his arm and then used his piece of the dividing gear on him to go back to his base form, then threw him into the air a few meters and looked at his team. Shin, the rest of you better go and check on him, he could be dying. They quickly ran away, not wanting to be faced off with Shin. Then all that was left was Shin and Don Quixote both staring at each other down, anticipating a decent fight. Don Quixote, well, it seems that the Dragon Clan really has come back. Interesting, I suppose you know already. He grinned and Shin closed his hands and blood started to draw from his palms, but he needed more information, way more than what he knows. Shin, humor me a bit. All this, why? The devils gave you the power of God and yet you never overthrew them and took all the power for yourself. Don Quixote, why bother? We were already stronger than the Dragon Clan. We proved it a few years back with the attack of that night. Shin, what do you know about that night that I don't? Don Quixote, what's there to say? It was a nice night. It had been a few years of planning this attack. After finding out about the mating season, we picked the moment your father would be weakest. And to our surprise he was. Killing off the clan was easy. Most of the followers' connection to their masters weakened due to the fact it was mating season. We carried on with the plan, and we took everything that gave you the power and made the high-class devils stronger. Your little girlfriend Riaz was brought here, and we used the machine to make her stronger. All high-class devils were brought here. Shin took a deep breath and kept his mind clear. Shin still doesn't explain why you decided to keep the relics. Don Quixote, we can't use most of them, so rather keep them as trinkets to make sure we know that we have them and our victory over your clan. You don't get it yet since you are still young, but your clan was never meant to exist. Devils were meant to reign supreme. Shin was tied up in strings and pulled to the ground, unable to move. Don Quixote, and now today I get to kill another dragon, and when I get my hands on the others, I'll make sure their deaths are just as painful. He was about to pull the stings to slice through his body, but Shin had turned into ash and then kicked him into a wall. Shin, who said I was done talking? Don Quixote, oh my, this is going to be a good fight, then grins. Both stood ready to attack, but neither one made a move, but heard a few voices leaving the island. Don Quixote, well, it seems since you came alone that you won't get to kill off the rest of the Celestials like you planned, and when the rest of your team gets here, it's going to be too late. He started laughing and they watched as a large barrier formed around the island. It was color shifted between red, green, and black and formed the Pyra symbol, the Ventus symbol, and the darkness symbol on either side of the barrier, locking all of them in. Don Quixote, what? He was confused. He was under the impression that Shin would be moving alone and the rest of his team would follow a while later. Shin, who said I came alone? They watched as the ships leaving this place were then destroyed, but Katakuri, Cracker, and Smoothie. Shin then charged him with such force that he was sent flying through a few buildings. As he stopped, he was then kicked with a flaming fist. He then brought out his swords, and as he was about to slice him down the face, the ground started sucking him in and the buildings around him started to form a massive monster. Esping, not so fast, little dragon. Paika, just where do you think you're going? Shin burst out laughing and it confused them. Espink, what's so funny, brat? Shin, lodging, it's the fact you think you caught me plus that one's voice I can't, that shit's way too funny. Paika was about to slam down on him, but then a mirror came flying towards him and Saji came jumping out of it and used his shadows to pull Paika out the ground and slam him into the other side of the island. Large amounts of wind then came pushing them a bit, and then Azazel had kicked Espink away from the fight, leaving Shin and Don Quixote again. Shin, now then, where were we? He was about to slice down again, but then sensed a bullet coming towards him, and then he proceeded to cut the bullet and saw Baby 5 pointing a gun at him. Shin, huh, that's new. Baby 5, you're cute, huh, but I can't have you hurting the boss, so I'll have to kill you. Before Shin could even respond, Cracker came up behind her and started pushing her back with his massive hands. The world then split in two, making everyone stop what they were doing and look at the one man holding his hand out. Law, not so fast, kiddo ro. He was tackled to the side by Sirzechs and the world then slowly went back to normal. Shin, my god, your lackeys are irritating. Don Quixote, that's the point, brat. He pushed himself out and another man came bouncing around and grabbed him, but Shin jumped towards them and Katakuri was keeping pace with them. Katakuri, Lord Shin, I'll handle the shitter you handle, Don Quixote. Shin, deal, hold tight and get ready. He nodded and turned his hands into massive spike balls, then turned them black and hardened. Then Shin grabbed them with his Zeton, then proceeded to pull them faster towards them. And as they got back into the fight, Shin sent Katakuri and Bellarmé away, and he was once again left with Don Quixote. Shin, my god, just face it, you're gonna die today. Don Quixote, not if I have anything to say about it. He created a massive web of razor-sharp stings, then forced Shin to fight. With Saji and Pika, Saji could be seen dodging all types of buildings from Pika. Saji, so what is this? Are you some sort of building person, or is there a term? He flipped and slapped his hands together, then sent a straight shot of dark energy into his chest, hoping that it would take him out, but it wasn't. Pika roared in anger, shaking the area. Saji, I hope you're watching Sona today's. He used his shadows like a whip and started swinging around the madness he was in, then covered his leg with shadows and kicked Pika in the head, and one of the arms dropped. Saji, oh, so here's your weak spot. What they didn't know was some surveillance familiars were watching the fight go down and were broadcasting it somewhere in the underworld. Saji then flipped and pulled out a sword, and with a single strike forward, he used enough force to shatter a good chunk of Pika's face. Then Pika fully looked at him. Pika, now I'm angry. The buildings on his body started to spread all around the place where he was on Pika's arm, and he just did backflips to avoid them, and as he landed, he couldn't help himself. Saji singing moves like Jagger. I got the moves like Jagger * whistles *. As he was doing that, Pika tried to slam on him, but Saji disappeared into the shadows and then reappeared next to his head, where he created a dark storm next to Pika's head. This move used a lot of energy, but it caused so much damage that it only able to be used once every few times. This disrupted the matter around Pika himself and left him wide open. Pika, what have you done? Saji, call it a special case of fuck around and find out. Saji then slapped his hands together and shot another straight shot towards Pika's head, killing him within seconds. The large form stayed, since it seemed like he literally changed the matter around him. Saji then started dancing again and singing moves like Jagger, enjoying his victory. On the other side of the island with Azazel, he and Espink had landed near a massive piece of open land which was Espink's main domain. Azazel shit. He started dogging all the attacks and proceeded to use a massive push of wind to blow him out the ground and then hit him down hard into the ground. Azazel, wanna explain the baby get up? Espink, I was once a regular marine named Senor Pink, leading a simple yet happy life. I fell deeply in love with a woman named Russian and we got married. However, my life took a tragic turn when our infant son, Gimlet, fell seriously ill and died. To cope with the loss, I returned to my former life of piracy with the Don Quixote pirates, but I kept it a secret from Russian, telling her I worked as a banker. She eventually discovered the truth, and in her grief, she ran out into a storm, resulting in a terrible accident that left her in a vegetative state. Desperate to make her happy, even if she couldn't show it, I started dressing in the baby clothes she loved so much. Miraculously, this brought a faint smile to her face, the first sign of emotion since the accident. From that moment on, I continued to dress in baby attire as a tribute to her and to preserve that fleeting connection we once had. Now, I wear this outfit proudly, bearing the memories of my lost family and the life I could never fully leave behind. It's a constant reminder of the love and loss that shaped who I am today. While explaining the reasons to his attire, Azazel shed a few tears for him and gave a sign of respect. Azazel, damn man, that cut deep. I have a whole new respect for you from man to man, but we going to need to end this. He raised his hands and so did Espink. Espink, like real men, fist fight first to go down loses. Azazel wouldn't have had it any other way. They started their fist fight hitting each other with everything they had, and with each hit, Azazel could feel the difference in the way he punched and noticed that his right hook was an opening for him to finally end this fight. As he predicted, the right hook came and Azazel ducked under it, then proceeded to hit him in his temple so hard that it died a quick death, and once his body hit the floor, Azazel kneeled next to him, showing a sign of respect for his foe. Jumped to the other side of the island. Sizes had his power of destruction, leaking with some fire burning off his body. Sirzechs, it been a while since I let loose. Law, don't think so fast, room. The whole environment was surrounded by a bubble and Sirzechs watched ready for anything. La shambles. The whole area around them inside the bubble had become a whole different level of weird. Sirzechs was a woman, and the land next to her was different. Sirzechs, woman, husso, this is what it's like to be a woman, I must say. Mother, Riaz, I feel sorry for your backs. How the hell do you walk around with these things? They heavy. He made them bounce up and down, but then went back to his fight. She charged towards Law, and Law attempted to make the world different again. And this time everything was different colors, but that didn't stop Sirzechs, and she hit him, and then the bubble burst and everything went back to normal, but Sirzechs stayed a woman. Sirzechs, woman, oh come on, you better fix this. Law, you'll stay that way till I change you back. Sirzechs, woman, screw it, I don't care if I am like this for the rest of my life. I'll learn to deal with the change, but you're dying today. Sirzechs picked up a sword from a dead body and coated it with his power of destruction. Sirzechs, woman, wanna know why I was a devil king? Law, why is that? Sirzechs, woman, it was because of my ungodly amount of power. She raised the sword above her head and it started violently sparking, and then as she sliced down, it sliced down Law's body, destroying everything in her path. Sirzechs, woman, woo, that took a lot out of me. Well, I guess killing him didn't turn me back, so I guess I am stuck like this. Better go see if Shin needs help. As she ran, she saw Law's sword and decided to keep it. With Katakuri. Katakuri, let's not waste any more time. Bellamy couldn't agree more. He started bouncing around super fast, and Katakuri just stood there. Then, as he was about to hit, Katakuri swung at him and hit Im in the face, breaking his neck, and his body just lay there. Katakuri, really? I was hoping this would put me in Lord Shin's good books, but it only took one swing. I refuse. He picked up Bellamy's body, but it just fell over again. Brother, it's not worth it. You never know, it could sound better if it sounds like you beat him with one hit. He turned to see his brother covered in lipstick marks, and he was fixing his pants. Katakuri, you didn't. Cracker, playing it off well. She came next to him and held his arm with a smile on her face. Katakuri, I don't know whether to be impressed, proud, disappointed, or disappointed in the fact you could have a win like this days after we just saw the death of our mother. Cracker, I'll keep her in line, don't worry about it. Baby 5, my husband is so brave. Katakuri, I don't know what will be more interesting to inform Lord Shin. Sirzechs, woman, you said it. They looked at Sirzechs, seeing as she wasn't wearing a bra and her melons were huge. They screamed, realizing who was walking towards them. Sirzechs, woman, I know, we can figure it out later. We need to go help Shin. They nodded and met up with Saji and Azazel, who fell over after seeing Sirzechs with blooded noses. Sirzechs, woman, oh come on, it's not that bad. With Shin and Donquixote. The fight continued. Both were covered in blood. The reason Shin hadn't killed him yet was because he needed to know more about that night. Shin, bleeding, tell me, who was your leader in the killing of my clan? Donquixote, tired and bleeding, asked the White Dragon Emperor. He's super close with the boss, chuckles. Shin took a deep breath and the red Zetan clouds started spreading again, and Shin then moved so fast that Donquixote couldn't keep up, and Shin shoved his claws through his chest and started slashing away, cutting every sting Donquixote was made of till there was nothing left. He finally sat down and took in the sight around him, knowing his plan worked. Flashback. Shin. Okay, here's the plan. We're going to first find a hidden place where we can first try and suss out the situation on the island. After that, we're going to need to guards to 1, get more information out of them, and 2, Sirzechs, Azazel, can I trust you with this? I need you 2 to take the uniforms and then go as fast as possible to opposite ends of the island and start the barrier chant to lock them all in. Once I make my move and cause the distraction, Saji, I want you to move towards the north part of the island and add some of your power to the barrier. But for the rest of you, I want you to hang 10 till I handle the white dragon. He's nearby. I wouldn't be surprised if I fight him first. Then once the barrier is up, I want every single one of you to kill any last celestial dragon trying to escape, and then help take out any lackeys he is going around while I handle Donquixote and volley myself. They all nodded in agreement. I'll consider it done, Lord Shin. Flashback end. Hey Shin, you good? Shin was confused. He heard a woman's voice, and it wasn't one he knew or recognized. It almost sounded like Venelana and Ria's merged voices. He turned back and saw a redhead with massive melons running towards them, leading the group behind her. Shin, ZHCS, what the fuck, HAPPNED, I thought you were a guy and now you're a woman. Sirzechs ran to him and hit him in the gut. Sirzechs, I was a man and forever will be. Nothing changes. That understand this, I hope, is temporary. Shin valid that aside, what about her? Shin pointed his sword at Baby 5, holding onto Cracker for dear life. Cracker, about that my lord, she is now my betrothed. Shin, I am sure you know what I am going to say. Cracker, oh yay, full understanding, shall stay in line. Shin, the rest of you Azazel Saji Katakuri, you guys look better or worse. Azazel just looked to the sky. Azazel, I am sorry, it's just you wouldn't understand right now. Shin looked over to Saji confused. Saji, found him kneeling next to the dead body of the dude dressed like a baby. Azazel, shut your mouth, have some respect. Shin, fine, and you too. Saji, Pika was a fun opponent. That storm move you helped me with seems to work great against matter, but the body that Pika made seemed to stay. It was already falling apart, but it's not too bad. Shin, and you Katakuri. Katakuri, how can I put this? Cracker, he killed Bellamy with one punch. Katakuri saw a surprised look on Shin's face. Shin, no shit, well done man, nice work. Katakuri nodded and Cracker punched his arm. Shin, okay now then, let's go find those reflects of my family. Baby 5, oh lord Shin, I can show you where everything is. Shin, then lead the way. They all started following her. Elsewhere on the island, Biko and Arthur were busy digging Volley out from the rubble from the plethora of flying houses hitting the area. Biko and 3 seems fine. Karuka, I think it's time. Volley, what was all this about? We are a team and family. If you can't keep us in the loop, then we leaving with Shin before he leaves, since you can't trust us as we trust you. Her words were sharp yet soft at the same time. Volley, my grandfather threatened to kill my mother if I didn't succeed here. She lost her memories of me a while ago, but still she's my mother. Even if she doesn't remember me, I can't just let her get killed. He covered his face, hiding the tears. Leffe, Volley, you didn't need to hide things like that from us. You can trust us with anything. We family, aren't we? He looked up at them and they nodded. Volley, I am sorry, I was thinking right. Biko, that's good and all, but what are we going to do now? The best bet we have is going with Shin, whether you like it or not. All other ships were destroyed, and so was any magic gate. Volley, I'll handle it, I'll speak to him. Arthur, are you sure that would be wise? Volley nodded and let Leffe continue to heal him Abbott. With Shin and the others, Baby 5 had led them to the basement of the main house. Saji, I can feel the power getting stronger. How is it that they still producing so much power after being killed nearly 18 years ago? Shin, think about it, is one of the reasons Uncle was able to give you all his power. It never leaves the body and is contained. As they reached the door, Baby 5 opened it, and it was all there by the looks of it. Yup, it all here. We never let the others use it, since with the items we got from the devils, we first tested it with the little to nothing things like a few rings, and they either sold it for money or broke it, so we couldn't trust them with the real deal and told them it was the real deal. They looked at her shocked that they kept it all in one place. Shin, well mom, dad, they are all here. He looked at the bodies connected to massive tubes draining the power. They all understood what he was going through and decided to look at some of the other relics in the room. Shin held his mother's hand and couldn't help but smile knowing he found them again to his side. He saw his father's body and held his hand. When he did this, something happened. He found himself in the void like he did the first time he met them all. Shin, hello mom, dad, tell granny, anyone there? Yes, we hear. He turned towards the voice and saw all of them standing behind him beside Corvo. Kendrick, thank you my son, because of you we can rest easy now knowing that you freed us. Kyoyuko, he's right, as much as we all would have loved to get to know you all better and see you all grow, things changed. Vincent, she's right kid. Sora, yes son-in-law, I see you've been keeping your promise of keeping Akari happy. Eva, yeah, you even got my daughter to open up. Shin, it's no problem, it's not, I just wish you got to see us do more. Kendrick, yay, but life's path has you on your journey now. We are proud of all of you. Now then, when you see my brother, call him a wet blanket, hell, understand? Shin chuckles, sure I can do that. What's going to happen to the power left in your bodies? They all looked at each other, then back at him and smiled. All, we think that's a surprise for when you wake up. Shin, fine, be like that, keep your secrets, old people, ill figure them out one way or another. They all started laughing and he started fading away. As he opened his eyes, he saw all the rings in his hands and the room was mainly empty now. He then looked closer at the rings, and they were something that just irradiated power. He put on the fire ring, and he could feel the boost of power within seconds. He then placed the other rings in the gauntlet in the event he messed them up before they get to their correct owners. As Shin walked up, he could hear them still teasing Sirzechs about being a woman. Shin, you guys are still on her case. Sirzechs, woman, yeah, whatever, we should figure it out on the way back. We packed up everything on the ship. Saji, I took the souls of the others and used them to upgrade our tools and such, and they on the ship. Azazel, we did a sweep before taking down the barrier. No celestial dragon is alive. They either died in the fight, or we killed them by hand. Katakuri, then we have one more thing that needs your attention, sir. He motioned to Vali and his team. Vali, can we go with you? Shin, why would I? Right now the only person I would even consider taking with us is Koroka. Why was I already that useless to you, Lord Shin? Shin, quite you, I once talking about you coming with us whether you like it or not. She then jumped for joy, then jumped on Cracker. Koroka is my sister. Shin, yeah, she's alive and well. She joined the Earth Affinity due to her strength. She nodded. Koroka, thank you. Vali, please. He got on his knees and placed his head on the floor before Shin. Vali, please, we won't let you regret taking us with you. We can't go back. I failed to defeat you, and that was the deal, to stay with them or they would kill us in cold blood. Please, even if you take them, I'll find my way. Just make sure they live. Shin, Didrag. Didrag, I say do it. Make Vali and Albion our bitch that does as we say. Shin, what in the ACUAL fuck, man? Shin then took a deep breath and spoke again. Shin, fine, you can all come alone. I am saying it now. If you join my ranks as devils, it's a painful transformation that I have no control over. Vali, thank you, Hyoudou, I'll forever be in your debt. Shin, fine, and I suppose I'll take a look into your mother and see what the situation is like, but I can't guarantee anything. Vali raised his head, tears streaming down his face, and nodded. Shin, well then, are we done here? They all nodded. Shin, then let's go home. They left the island in the distance and watched it slowly sink into the ocean. Saji, you don't think? Shin, let's rather not think about it. Sirzechs woman agreed. They all got comfy and Shin went asleep. They took turns keeping watch and taking shifts to make sure they were on the right path back to the Dragon Island. Chapter End. Life 26 Returnal. On the Dragon Island, a few days before Shin killed the celestial dragons and claimed all their items and relics, the group had encountered a few faces they didn't expect to see. I think we can be of service. Sorry we took so long. This place isn't easy to find. The group turned around and saw who was talking behind them this time. Ria, Sir Yorg, Zona and the Phoenix family. They were all bewildered seeing them here on the island, but the fact they were here with them was a different story. Ravel, yeah, we all met up on the way here when we abandoned the devils. Riaz, but if you all left, that means. Sir Yorg, that's right, we've come to assist you all. We know the fight isn't going to be an easy one, but this is the right side. Ruvel, is Shin back yet? Riaz, no, not yet, but we can take you all to the main castle. Ravel, oh nice, let's go. It was a large group. Sir Yorg had brought his sleeping mother and a good part of the Bale family and members part of its army along with his peerage. So did Rural and Riser bring their peerages and their army along with their parents and Ravel. As they got closer to the gate, Locke jumped out of minimal arms and grew to full size and looked down at all the new devils on the territory ready to attack them. They all stood ready to defend themselves if need be. Minami, Locke, know they going to join us. Shin will handle them if we can't. Don't pick a fight now. He roared once and then went back to teddy bear size and climbed back into her arms. Akari, sorry about that. The beasts you see us holding are recently awake. Last time they were awake, devils attacked us. You know how the rest went. They nodded, understanding where they coming from. Sir Yorg, I promise, little creatures, we heed no harm. We want to help you. Riaz and the girls walked through the gate first, and then the council saw the rest of the devils come through. Venilana, my dear nephew, what a surprise. Sir Yorg, and it's good to see you alive and well. I know it is a lot to ask up front, but is there a possible place I can lay mother? She's still in eternal slumber. He greeted them all and they nodded. Hancock, sure, I'll have one of my people take you to a room. Lady Phoenix, with that out of the way, what still needs to be done? They looked around and saw that most of the area where they were was very functional at this point. Akari, we just got the Pyrus capital back up and running. If you look here, there's a projection showing all main points and where we have been recently. Ravel, it's not much considering we used a gate to get here. That in-between space definitely doesn't help at all for charting the island. Konko, well, chickens like to explore, why don't you go look? Akino then grabbed her and covered her mouth. Akinko, cool it, not now, you two can bicker later. Kaniko HMMM. She glared at Ravel, who just glared back at her. Ruvel, okay, so far mainly the Pyrus capital has been explored, then I'm assuming the mountainside would be Akari Ventus capital. Surgeorg, then the huge mass of water would be Minami the aqua capital. Riser, then the structures here could only lead to the Suri light capital. Ravel, leaving the cavern here. Myra the earth's capital. Sir Jorg, mind catching us up on how things work and how they going to work? They nodded and proceeded to fill them in on everything. How Shin is the leader, but there are 6 elements that they will all serve under. They don't pick, it's picked when they start the process. But since they become followers, they get different ranks. They explain the difference between the ones they have now and how their role will be decided when they do the ritual. Then they experience a power boost when their master, which is one of the 6 elements, so they would be stronger when fighting with their masters. Then they can live wherever so long, since Shin and Saji aren't back yet to help with the ritual. Sureger, interesting, well, we have multiple hands that will help around. We can assist to get things moving further. They all nodded, then spent a few days getting a lot more homes operational. They all decided to have a meeting since Shin and the others kind of went silent with the news. Myra, you don't think they lost, do you? Akari, no, I am sure some of us would have felt the disturbance if we had a loss. Irina, agreed, I'm not sure what it is, but I have this pull towards him like I can easily find him. Ria's weird, I have it too. Hancock, same as I. They all then looked at the old man busy sleeping in his chair, then Grafia woke him up. Corvo, ha what, can old timer get some shut-eye? Suri, uncle, Shin's mates are experiencing a pull towards him. Corvo, oh, you talking about the eternal bond? I'm sure his first mate would understand this. Depression when you don't know where he is, feeling lost when he's not around, a weak feeling when you wake up, and furthermore a paranoia about being alone forever. Any of it ringing a bell? Riaz, yes. Akari, yes. Hancock, yes. Irina, yes. Corvo, good, that means the bond is strong with that one. If you can still feel a pull towards him, then he's fine. Think of it like a tracker that works both ways. He'll always find you no matter how far you are from him. The girls' hearts fluttered Abbott thinking about it. Sir Georg, after Lady Hancock told me about where they went, I sent a few familiars in the direction for some surveillance to see what could be taking so long. He tossed a disc in the center of the table, then a screen appeared and they looked at the whole cake island. Ravel, as we know already, dust. Rosswace, what about the other one? Sir Georg, let's see then. As the screen changed, their blood all ran cold, seeing the massive amounts of continuous destruction, and seeing that the fight was still going shocked them all. Riaz, my god, can we get in closer? Sir Georg, sure, they set up a barrier to keep them all in. Shin definitely don't want them to escape. As the familiar got closer, the first thing they went to was the giant fighting a shadow. They saw a fight and it was Saji busy dancing on a giant, and they heard everything he said and him singing. Corvo, good, looks like the brat is experimenting with his powers. They watched him win, then it moved to Azazel fighting a man baby, and they heard everything there as well. They watched him win, then they saw Sirzechs, and none of them could know how to respond. They watched him get turned into a woman. Zeotix, my son. They watched him complain about how big his bust was, then watched him do something they hadn't seen him do before, use his power in such a violent way. They saw some others fighting as well and referring to Shin as Lord Shin. As they moved around, they saw Team Volley with Volley completely thrashed and busy getting healed, then found Shin fighting and saw how he won and his reaction to Sirzechs. Then when the barrier went down, they messed up the familiars and they lost the signal. Grafia, thank goodness Milikas is sleeping. I can't fathom him seeing his father in that state. Riaz, I'm more taken back that he said he'll stay like that if he must. Venelana, I always wondered what he would have looked like as a woman. They all looked at her shocked. Venelana, what she sounds like. Riaz and I merged together. Zeotics, hopefully they figure something out. They then carried on waiting, knowing that Shin and the others would be back soon, with the people from Whole Cake settling in nicely, and so was the army from the Bale and Phoenix families. They managed to maintain the Pyrus capital to what they believed was its former glory, then decided to relax and practice their skills against Surgeorg, Ruvel, and Riser. They all stood on opposite ends ready to fight. Even Serafal was with. She needed to learn how to fight with these new abilities. Grafia agreed as well. As they started, Akrai was the first to make a move, snuffing out any fire, then proceeded to try and kick away Surgeorg, but he caught it and tossed her back. Kiba then proceeded to create a few slashes of fire towards them, but Riser caught it and sent it back to them. Then Myra and Kaneko created a wall of earth to defend them, and Minami and Sona created a few spikes of ice to make them scatter. Then Irina, Momo, and Tsubaki created a blinding attack, then Siri followed up with a beam. Push them back. Suryog just charged at them, knocking them back. Then Riser and Ruvel surrounded them with fire and managed to take them out before the others could try and make a difference. Surgeorg, okay, you guys are going to need some work, a lot of it. Corvo, as it stands right now, Shin and my apprentice are the only two that could remotely help you all when the rest of you join the ranks, but you're not bad fighters, but relying on devil power to train will be a downfall. Ravel, how come? Corvo, this power is free and not restricted like you have high class, mid class, and low class. This clan has none. It's just Shin who will be stronger since he has a physical limit to his powers. For instance, Irina over there is stronger than her master yet must still protect her when need be. Riser, interesting. Even with that in mind, I think it should be thought out that when Shin gets back, we establish a plan. I'm not sure if you are aware of what's happening in the overworld. Riaz, what is going on? Ruvel, since the start of all this with Shin coming back into power, nature is trying to rebalance itself similarly to when the devils kill them and became the main power. But this time it is different. The world seems to be tearing itself apart. Shin, along with the rest of the masters, will need to go and help mend things around the world. Myra, really, I don't think we can handle such a request yet. It's too far ahead of us. We just somewhat managed to get a grip on our powers now. You want us to save the world. Corvo, he's right. When Shin gets back, he might throw you into the deep end and force you into situations you're not ready for. Minami, I mean, we haven't even been to the overworld before. Akari, I was the opposite. I've never been to the underworld till recently. Surgeorg, regardless, we're going to need to make it a team effort to rebalance nature as best we can. The brigade is hopping. This would be enough to allow themselves to act as the saviors in the overworld, to have the overworld on their side. Riser, even I would urge Shin to try and make face first to get them on our side of things. Riaz, but then that means exposing ourselves with who and what we are. Corvo, if what they say even has some weight to it, then Shin would need to be the bridge between both the overworld and the underworld, connecting the two. Irina, it feels like we putting too much on him. He's one person and he needs a break too. Akari, I know it seems selfish, but maybe it should be our job to do it. Siori, what do you mean? Akari, we should do it. Give Shin a break. He's doing so much that it only seems fair. Plus, we're not stronger like he is. We can only support him. So if this is it, then I'll do it. Corvo, spoken like a real queen looking out for her king. Horned. They all looked around and then realized it was coming from the coast. They ran to the coast through the one warp gate, then saw a massive ship coming closer. Its black, purple, and red accents made it all the more clear who just arrived. They were all excited to see their arrival and watched the boat get closer a bit too fast. Hancock, run, they don't know how to stop the ship in time. They all ran away a bit and watched as the ship beached itself. Don't you know how this thing works? Yes, I totally took the time to learn this and it's my specialty. Shut it, it's over. They saw a few bodies jump off the hull and then land on the beach. Shin, oh hey guys, when did you get here? Within seconds, Riaz, Akari, Hancock, and Irina jumped on Shin, making him fall to the ground and showering him with kisses. Saji was the next to land, and Sona tackled him and kissed him. Sona, blushing, I missed you. Saji, missed you too. He gave her a gentle kiss and then just held her in his arms. The others landed, and Sirzechs was a man again. Vinalana, Bo, I wanted to see my eldest daughter. Sirzechs, sweat drop, mother please, I'm just happy I'm me again. Riaz, what did happen? Sirzechs, just as I accepted that I'll be a woman, I went to sleep like normal. Then when I woke up I was me again. I think it is this sword that has like a pulling effect on it, taking away power and magic. Grafia, good, I'm happy that I still have my husband. She came to greet him with their son, who was happy to see him. Shin, now then guys, we have some more guests, come on out. They all came out, and a few of them were shocked to see who he brought along with them. Shin, first off, I'd like to introduce the army leaders. We have Katakuri, Cracker, Baby 5, Bruli, and Smoothie. They mostly come from Whole Cake Island, and they are willing to help us. They all nodded. Shin, now on to our other guests. Let's say we have new members joining our group after willingly coming to our side. Azazel, trust us, we were just as surprised. Team Volley just stood awkwardly and waved at them. Shin, now then, how far have you all come with your guys' things? Hanok, my love, we have restored most of the Pyrus capital, and that is where we are all living. Shin, okay, not bad, uncle, we have the gem you spoke of, and it's good to see the rest of you, but I need to handle something first. Corvo, good, let's go and activate the gates before you leave again. They nodded and all went to the Pyrus capital, where all the people there were happy to see him alive, and Shin went to the island projection and waved his hand over it, opening the pedestal it was on. Akrai whispers, did any of you know this? Siri whispers, nope. Myra whispers, thought about it but thought it was stupid. Minami whispers, didn't even cross my mind, to be fairly honest. Shin plus Saji, we heard that you four. They all jumped that they were caught out, making the others chuckle at them. Shin, alright, let's do this. He raised his hand and they saw a new ring on his finger with the Pyrus emblem on it. He brought out a gem, and the other high-class devils saw it as part of the items that were brought out for when a high class gets their power boost. Riser, wait, so you mean even after all these years we still relying on Dragon Clan power? Saji, yay, there was a lot on that island. No other celestial dragon had an item, but as Baby 5 explained, her group kept most of the items, if not all of them, to themselves because they knew of the origins and rather not have the power split or be sold off. Sona and the ring, it's a new one. Shin placed the scroll of power he got in Kyoto and then the gem and placed them into the pedestal, and they watched as all the gates opened on the island. Shin, we found our parents' bodies on the island. Akari, but Shin, when I interacted with them, a special someone told me to call Uncle a wet blanket. Corvo ran to Shin and grabbed his shirt. Corvo, face MEK Indiraisike, I'll end your life again if I have to. Shin, laughing, relax, anyways, they turned into rings and they boost the power of the wearer, so when you four are ready, I'll give you your rings. If you lose them and you become weak again, then you sitting ducks. Akari, fair, but can we see them? He nodded and showed them the rings, and everyone around him could feel the raw power coming off those rings, and he wasn't messing around. There's no way in hell the other four were ready for them yet. He then made them go away. Shin, anyways, what are those? He looked to his side and saw massive creatures watching him, almost too excitedly seeing him again. Corvo, your parents' pets, and well, your pets now. Shin got a flashback and remembered playing with an ice bear named Locke as a small child. Then the others came to memory. Shin, Locke, SKYRES, Tigris, VRTXX. He ran to them and they all made a noise, overjoyed to see him again, and played with him in their big forms, jumping around like children. Everyone was taken back by the fact these things knew him and stood in disbelief that he did this within seconds of seeing them. Corvo, you see what I meant by Shin would have tamed them within seconds of meeting him. Riaz, but how? Corvo, I never mentioned why, but as a young child when Shin was born, the pets kind of all became his because they acknowledged him as their new king, mainly Locke because he belonged to his mother. They watched as they all grew smaller and started snuggling against him, making purring noises and making the others all sweat drop that this was really what they seeing. Suri, I never mentioned it before, but the Pyrus and Darkness beasts, where are they? Corvo, they wouldn't show themselves till their masters reached a certain point. Kendrick's power tamed a monstrous beast. Azazel, and yours? Corvo, same, we are brothers by blood, so we both managed to tame some serious monsters. I don't think Saji over here would handle it. Saji, we'll have to see about that. Volley, mind explaining a few things to us, please? We are a bit lost and confused about all this. We weren't really told anything. They looked at Team Volley, confused to hell and back about everything around them. Akari, let me explain everything to you till this point. She explained everything with the help of the others, and they all nodded, making the best of what was going on. Koruka, so the devils really were problems to begin with. They all nodded. Shin, Uncle, where is Leonidas and Hydronoid? They all looked at him, confused about who he was talking about, but mocked it up to the last two pets missing. Corvo, Leonidas, who knows thing, hardly listened to Kendrick to begin with. Saji and Hydronoid. Corvo, the black abyss of the island most probably. Shin, let's go, maybe with all the commotion we can bring out Leonidas. Ruval, Shin, I hate to interrupt, but there are other matters to attend to. The overworld is tearing itself apart. Shin, confused, what, how? Riser, with the fall of the Dragon Clan, nature had to rebalance itself because of the natural way of things, and now with the Dragon Clan on its way back to power, it seems that nature is having a hard time handling the devils and the Dragon Clan both being at the top in terms of power. Shin, he started thinking. D-Durag, he's not wrong. I remember a period from before you awakened me to the changes in nature around us when we escaped, but then I fell into a slumber. Perhaps the journals have something for you. Shin, damn it, you're right. He brought out the journals and they looked different and thicker if one had to describe it. Akari, what the hell, since when were they this big? She tried to lift one and she could hardly lift it. Shin, no time for that, split into groups and looked to see if Mickey, Garo, or even Granny said anything about what to do if the nature of this needed to change. They all grouped up and started reading. Saji, hey man, Granny said something here. Shin and Akari are sleeping and I sent Mickey and Goro out to scout the area to see what is going on while I protect the kids. The weather seems to be raining a lot. It has been a few days since and it's constantly raining. It hasn't let up once. Perhaps it's nature trying to rebalance again. Shin, weird, when Akari reunited a few years later, it was constantly raining wherever we were. Hell, even in Hawaii, the currents at night were scary enough to be sucked into, yet we still needed to dive into them. Sirzechs. Shin, I got another hit from Goro. The land seems to be hostile towards everything. This storm hasn't let up. After doing some looking into it, I found that the devils coming into the superior power after the fall of God nature is trying to rebalance itself out. I come from the earth affinity and I can feel the ground beneath me fighting itself from being torn apart. With that said, perhaps Lady Myra, if she was here, would be able to settle the land. Lady Minami clammed the Oakins and Lady Suri shining a calming light upon everything. Shin, okay, what about the other three of us? Corvo, Shin would probably need to settle the mantle. Akari, bring forth the winds of change, and Saji, cover the world in darkness to let it rest. Serafal, well, we have a part of a plan then, but it still doesn't tell us where and how. Corvo, with things being like this, I believe they would need to figure that out for themselves. Shin, again, why do I get the worst of it? Corvo, shut it, brat, you can live in lava and not be bothered by it. Shin, fair. Volley, Hyoudou, I think I found something. It's from Mickey. With the world splitting, it caused a bit of tension in both the overworld and the underworld, trying to merge into one. Kathy wants to ride it out and let it happen. But so far there's been a lot of death following it, and she takes full responsibility for it. But as it stands right now, we are hidden, and to protect the Lord Shin and Lady Akari, we suggest that at a later date, if all goes well, we shall have them attempt to try and mend both worlds, and keep them from merging. The overworld isn't ready to learn about magic yet. Look at the hero group and magicians, they have let the power get to their heads. Shin, well, we have an opposition to keep it from happening. Azazel, got a hit here from Kathy or Catherine. The kids being together brought power, making each other stronger. It's with a heavy heart that for the time being we separate the kids for now, and see how things plan out. We not sure what to do, but for now this seems like the most viable option. There's too much power in one place, and we need to spread it a bit. Shin, all right then, so us being together caused this. Now then, let's see if we can fix this, but first Sir Jorg, Riser, and I think Ruval is it. Bring your soldiers here, we have the others here already. Riser, are you going to make us part of the clan? Shin, yup, but be warned, it is extremely painful. Chapter End. Life 27, The Dragon Army. They all gathered together anticipating Shin to turn them. He was busy looking at the book and gave it a read. He was packing around while reading. The others were watching not just the Bale and Phonics family, but there was the residents they saved from Whole Cake Island. They all watched as he was flipping through the pages. Akari, did you good? He nodded and carried on reading. Then he stopped and held his hand, and his scales started rapidly forming on his forearm, changing their shape and the detail of their formation. They watched as his horns started to grow. Then he took a deep breath. Shin, follow my lead, keep yourself on the right path of power, and become the army that is feared by nations. The power pulsed and all of them were surrounded by a barrier changing between red and dark purple and some yellow and blue in between. Shin, arise from the ashes, lurk in the darkness, become the beacons of hope, feel the earth under your feet, and cleanse the world of its sins and feel the freedom of wind in your wings. His voice changed as he was doing the incantation, and they could all feel the power difference for them irradiating from him. Ria's Uncle Corvo, what is going on with Shin? Corvo, be prepared everyone, adults and teens, it's gonna hurt like hell. They all looked confused and then looked back at Shin, who looked like he was about to attack them all. Shin, now be reborn and follow your king. With that, a large amount of power came from him and hit the group. They all screamed in pain as their bodies were being rebuilt, removing the devil from their bodies and rebuilding them stronger and better. As the spell died down, they all took a knee, or just needed to sit down and take in this massive boost of power. Riser looked at his hands, and this was better than the boost he had a few years back when he was fighting Ria's and her peerage. Ravel, Shin, what was all that? At this point, Shin was still reading the book, not looking at them. Shin, if I did this right, then I just turned you all into each affinity so we wouldn't need to do it one by one, and it randomly selected the best suited role for you. Suri, if that's the case, then how would we what they are if we didn't give them to them? Shin's what dropped 2 seconds. He carried on reading, and a few of them chuckled to see he's still learning. Shin, okay, no, this shouldn't hurt. Suri, come here a sec though. She came to him and showed her something. She then stood front and center and then placed her hands, creating a triangle between her thumb and index finger, and light started to leak off her. Suri symbolizing. The light spread around them, and above their heads there was a title. Akari, how that worked, nice work, Suri. Suri, thanks, smiles. Shin, okay then let's see, then all of you move to a group matching your symbol. They all did as asked, and they stood in front of them. Shin, looks like Saji Myra, and I got the bulk for now, but we all got something. Saji, no kidding, I never thought that I'd be the boss like this. Myra, for real. The Phonics family and army became part of Shin's affinity, and so did their army. The two most notable were the titles Ruvel and Riser were given. Shin, those are new, commanders, huh? He brought out the book again and started reading. Shin, commanders, persons that lead and maintain the land of their given affinity. They can either rally the people when needed or control the army with the monarch of said affinity. Pyrus army members of this group are stronger than the normal citizens and will perform better in a fight. Saji, let me check what I got. Shin handed him the book and it turned dark purple and black. Then he opened it and started reading through it. Saji, alright, so Arthur is my monarch, nice, then Leffe is my shadow guardian and Katakuri is now a grim reaper. Okay, sweet, looks like baby 5 is with us as well, and then that's it. Myra, okay, me next. She took the book from Saji and started reading while looking at the group in front of her. Myra, okay, so Koruka is my monarch, sweet, looks like the sisters can be sisters again, I suppose. Then Sir Jorg and Cracker are my commanders, sweet, some powerful guys, and I got the whole Bale army as the Terra army. She looked excited, they couldn't help but chuckle at her excitement. Suri, I got Biko and Bruli part of my group. They don't have noticeable roles now, but they look like they could promote themselves when the time is right. Minami, hold on, I am sorry, I got what? She looked at Volley, who didn't relatively look impressed since he had recently beaten half to death and now he had forsaken his devil side and now has to take orders from a small girl. Shen, what is he? Minami, he's a spectral dragon and a powerful one at that. He might be stronger than D-Drag and Albion together. D-Drag, looks like Albion got his wish. Albion, don't patronize us. Volley, wait, so I am stronger. Minami, yep, smiles. He couldn't help but crack a smile, but he tried to keep it hidden. Akari, right now me, let's see, okay, so I got a smoothie, nice, she also looks like she can get promoted later on like the others. Ruvel, so what now? Shin, we train but you guys can all take a break. Sir Jorg, how come? Shin, see the girls standing behind me. They all started to look away. Shin, they are weak as shit right now, I need to train them to train you guys, I'll handle my army later on, sound good guys? They all cheered. Shin, so either go relax on the beaches or help out with clearing the gates so we can move all around the island with ease, they nodded. Sirzechs, leave it to us, just focus on getting them up to speed. Shin nodded, and the group left, leaving all the dragons together with their pets. Minami, so what now? Shin, we get to know each other. Look, I don't know you guys very well, and I'd like to get to know you all again. Corvo, indeed, perhaps even I can shed some light on a few things. They all went into the council room that was established for them when they started. Shin, alright, so uncle, why didn't you try and come find me? When did you know you were safe? Corvo, you see, things in the underworld became dangerous as soon after you all escaped to the overworld. I knew you or even Akari would live, but what I wasn't sure about was their survival. Darkness is not the best magic for healing, so the girls took a while to heal. Suri had her ribs broken. Minami cracked her skull and shattered her arms, and Myra hurt her spine, so she didn't have proper motor skills till recently. Shin, I am sorry you guys lived through that. Miname agreed the healing process was slow, but we made the best of it, hiding out and getting people to come to look at us to make sure we were healing well. It was all a wild gamble after a few years when we could somewhat walk around and not be in pain. And after some long rehabilitation, Uncle's age started to catch up to him. He had been using his power a lot to try and keep us. Shin, why are you so old now? Even our parents' bodies weren't so degraded like yourself. Not being mean, but it is a legitimate question. Corvo, I know I am old now. You see, we stay young for a very long while, and even when your great-grandkids come around, you still be young. But you see, we were at constant war. There wasn't a day when one of we're feeding the shield more power, which drained us. The more you kids drain yourselves, the more likely you're going to expire more. Saji, so always have a surplus of power in us, is what you saying? Corvo, I was a stud back in my day, but after that attack, I spent the day in and day out for nearly 2 years straight protecting them, which aged me drastically. Our power is our fountain of youth. I pray you live good long lives. Akari, that's good and all, but what made you guys start looking for us? Corvo, if I think back a year and a half maybe, I was just starting to teach them some magic since they had the current power level and ability to do so without hurting themselves. But like I said, that book helps more. While I was teaching Minami to use her water, I saw a newspaper going around with your photos in it about stealing from the devils. Shin, then that kickstarted it all. Myra, pretty much, we were on an island called Wethuria. Once we got to the Island of Clouds, we were able to recover much faster due to them mostly being scientists, and they allowed us to live there for a while. But when the newspaper came, Uncle's whole mood changed. He was determined to find you before enemies did. Shin, valid, but what about you girls? Tell me about yourselves. We can do the same. Minami, well, as you know, I am your cousin. Well, when I was still recovering, I just wanted to do stuff, but that wasn't going to happen. I never really explored much once I was back on my feet, really, but I did take a liking to cooking. I really enjoy it. Akari, then let you and I do some cooking. Shin would be a great judge for you to test your skill on. Shin, sure, why not? Minami, right, smiles, I'll give it my best. Shin, Myra, Suri. Myra, well, I couldn't walk for a long time, so I spent most of my time reading about and looking at different places, wondering what they were like. There wasn't much soil or rocks on the island, but surprisingly enough, I was able to feel the earth moving beneath my feet, giving me the chance to experience different things. Shin, when we go to the overworld, have some fun while we are there, all of you too. It's a nice change of pace, that's for sure. They nodded, and Suri swallowed and grew a bit of a blush. Suri, blushing, well, I had my ribs broken. I was hurt for a long time. I tried my best to work through the pain, but it didn't help much. So I sang a bit to pass the time. It also helped getting my lung back up to strength, but I do enjoy singing from time to time. Shin, well, I sing to I am sure you've probably heard someone play something or heard of me singing from the others. Suri, blushing, yeah, Ria's played a song of you singing in the shower, and it motivated us to tame the beasts with us now. Shin, I didn't know that, but let's sing Togger sometime. She nodded and smiled. Suri, can do. Akari noticed something with her, but decided to look into it later. Akari, well, I suppose it's my turn. Well, I lived in the countryside, so I love running in the rain, cooking, and recently training. That feeling of getting stronger has really turned into an addiction. Other than that, I am probably the most easygoing out of all of us. If it's not Shin or Saji going easy, then it's me. Myra, what was the overworld like? Akari, to be fair, my early years they were alright, but in my teen years I was scared for my life. I was being bullied, and they threatened to come into the house and kill me in my sleep, all because they found me irritating. Then Shin and I reunited, and he hurt them so badly for me because they were going to have their way with me. And after that, the journey I went with him on showed me the beauty the overworld had to offer. Suri, what did he do? Shin broke their bones slowly and paralyzed them from the neck down, then threw them into the forest and left them for dead. Minami, damn okay. Shin, I made a promise to protect her, and I'll extend that promise to all of you if I have to. Saji can fend for himself. Saji, yay, well for me nothing really too important. I have 2 siblings in foster care because I couldn't look after them. I see them now and again, and they doing well, but other than that, as said, I am easygoing, good with most things, and nothing really bothers me besides that old man over there. Corvo chuckles, as you should be. I am making it a point to get on your nerves. Saji, right. Shin, well, I used to go by Issei. I had a double memory wipe, and you all saw the logbooks and how much was in them. But I was a perverted loser who didn't have good friends. Then on my birthday, when I decided on a change, my life got better. I went from a skinny, depressed teen to this muscular monster in front of you. Grins, but I enjoy my food. I'll be violent on anyone's behalf if they have a place in my heart. I play the guitar and keyboard, and I can sing incredibly well, so much so people thought I was going to be a pop star. Myra, what's a pop star? Shin, oh yeah, a pop star is a performer that sings for millions of people at a time. Suri, okay, makes more sense now. Shin, so I was told by my wife and girlfriends that you all achieved your dragon forms. Saji, what? Come on man, am I again the only one out of the loop? Myra, yay, after Ria's plead your songs we were fighting Locke. He was beating us down every day till we got moved by you. Then in that last fight we achieved the form, and that's all she wrote. Shin, then maybe this wouldn't be too difficult. I just need to get you used to dragon techniques, then your abilities and powers will start flowing like it is natural, and anything you do will feel right. They nodded. Corvo, on that topic of your dragon forms, your abilities will vary from what you think that book can teach you. Remember when you saw Saji, and how he was using his shadows? It's all experimentation. I never taught him that. They all nodded. Shin, now then how about we go ahead and start getting you all ready for some training? They nodded and started moving towards Locke's old nest. The beasts followed them and started to grow and watched them. Shin, all right, first off let's see your scale marks. Yuri, scale marks. Minami, oh wait, you mean these? She lifted her shirt and they could see a different set of markings swirling around her midsection. Shin, yeah, that exactly. He took off his shirt and showed them what he was talking about. Shin, see these lines represent your armor and slices formation. As such, Saji has a formation akin to him, and if you look at Akari, she has some light ones. The stronger they are, the stronger you are. Akari took off her top, leaving her in her sports bra, and they could see the markings starting their formation. Myra, Minami, and Suri took off their tops also in their sports bras, and Shin came closer to look at their markings. They were visible, but on each of them he could see where their bones broke and where they were seriously injured. It was something the 3 girls knew about each other, that they feel self-conscious about their scars, but seeing how many Shins has made them think they could talk to him about it. Even Akari has a good amount of scars, and Saji. Suri, blushing, can I ask you something? Shin, sure, what's up? Suri, your scars, how do you deal with them? Shin looked at his scar-littered body and thought to himself. Shin, I am not sure. I just started putting them aside one day, not caring what I looked like as long as I was alive and healthy was all I wanted. Akari, and let's not forget a loving family, but are you 3 feeling a bit self-conscious about them? They all nodded. Saji, PSH, don't think they are bad, think of them as the scars that showed you lived. I mean, look at this one. He showed them the massive scar going across his back. Saji, that was from fighting a god with Shin and winning. Shin, he's right, each scar has a story to tell. Akari, like these, Irina and I were kidnapped by an evil dragon, and these scars were from him purposely hurting us. Then Shin came bursting through the room and killed him over on that island over there. She pointed at the island and they could see it in the distance. Shin, so chin up, sure scars aren't the best thing to have, but remembering what you lived through helps, like this one here. He pointed to his stomach and they saw what looked like a pipe went through his midsection. Shin, I was stabbed to death with a light spear, and that was when my dragon abilities woke up, alerting Sirzechs, and he turned me into a devil to save me. Then when I was banished from the devil faction, Dryag turned me back into a full dragon again. They were shocked that he lived through that. Shin, so ye scars make us who we are, it's just how you look at them now. Then are you going to let these define you, or are you going to get stronger and show the world how strong you really are? He smiled, and the girls had a few tears in their eyes. Then they just tackled him into a hug and cried Abbott, but just laughed mainly. Shin, all right then, now let's see your dragons. He let go of them and he turned into his dragon that was taller than Locke, who was already massively huge. He stood over all the beasts, showing how bad he really is. Akari turned into her dragon and flew up. Shin was impressed. She looked like she got the hang of it relatively fast. Then Myra followed with her earth dragon, then Suri with her light dragon, then Minami with her water dragon. Saji just took a deep breath and then let the power flow, and he erupted into shadows and turned into his dragon, and he was slightly smaller than Shin, roughly on par with Locke. When the girls landed in their forms, they were incredibly smaller, even smaller than their beasts. Shin, I take it you'll grow as you get stronger. Kurovo, that's about right. Akari, well, can we get used to flying? Shin, against me. Minami, yeah, let's see how we fare. Saji, could work if they keep the forms long enough, then it might help with overall control over their abilities. Shin, alright then, take off, fly around the island, and I'll try and catch you. They took off to get used to their wings. Minami, it's really hard to stay high up. Suri, let's just try and get enough room between Shin and us. Saji, yeah, you might want to look back. They looked back and saw one massive dragon behind them. He flew past them really fast, and they looked back and saw Shin with Corvo on his back, catching them really fast. Myra screaming, so not fair. They flew over the group, who just finished clearing up another gate and were about to go to the next one when they saw a pitch-black dragon fly over them, and it blew everything everywhere. They knew it was Saji. Then they saw the smaller 4 girls flew over them, and shortly after Shin's massive dragon flew over them, showing the new strength he has now. Rise, my god, was his form always that big? Riser, no, Saji was clearly in front, and the girls are the same size he was when he fought me. Akino, wait, when last did we see him turn into his dragon form? Irina, the devil territory attack for some of us, the rest of you Kyode. Azazel, it's been 2 months since, and he grew that much. Sirzechs, we can ask him later. Volley, not even Great Red or Off-Eyes is as big as those. Sir Jorg, then I suppose the devils are in for a fun time, don't you think? Later that night, the group found them all busy focusing their magic to see what they could do. Zona, so how is training? She sat next to Saji, who put his arm around her. Saji, all good, all good. Shin, girls, remember to feel that magic around you and make sure you attach to it. Rise, so how are they? Shin, tomorrow we might be able to have you all get some training. Riser, that was fast. Ruval, agreed, how did you manage that? Katakuri, his mind is one I marvel at, thinking of plans before plans are even needed. Shin, ye seems about right, and drop. They all drop their concentration to take a deep breath. Akari, out of breath, so not funny, why is this so hard? Shin, you learning advanced techniques, they are simpler and easier than the advanced ones. Minami, red face, well, at least we are done now, right? Shin, yes, we are done, you can all go freshen up before dinner. The others left, then Shin felt a tug on his leg. He looked down and saw Milika's looking at him. Shin, oh hey bud, how are you today? Milika's, good, smiles. Shin, oh, why your mother getting you to talk more, huh? He nodded and smiled at Shin. Shin, can you speak in full sentences yet? Milika's, no, grins. Shin, okay then, that's okay, how about we go see what the others are doing? Milika's nodded, and they walked around seeing where they were now and how well things had gone so far. Once at the dinner table, they all sat down. They were all eating together, and Shin was kind of deep in thought about everything and what would be a good plan to go for when they back in the overworld. Venelana, Shin, do you seem conflicted? Shin, no, don't worry about it, just thinking of the next plan of action, don't really want to be taken off guard. Minami, well, I think since we still have a bit of time, why not just take it easy to an extent? It could be better for all of us if we are tired, and they jump us, then we too tired to do anything. Ravel, hey Shin, I was looking at a few things, and the land is pretty big. How would we consider a way to handle a secret attack if they snuck onto the island? Corvo, I can answer that one. The protective barriers around the island will alert us before they even pass through it. Shin, well, that answers that. They noticed he was looking a bit down and not really responsive much, but his wife and girlfriends decided to talk to him when they were alone. He then went for a walk, enjoying the night. When he found Kaneko sitting alone in the forest, he sat next to her, and she just leaned on his side and held his hand. Shin been a while, huh? Kaneko, Shin, your big sister being around making things weird. Kaneko could say the same thing about you. Do you have any way to not feel weird about anything going on right now? Shin, but I think to talk to your sister, what the worst that can happen, you can just have Myra or myself handle her if need be. Kaneko, you're still willing to help even after what we did to you. Shin, you think I'd hold you like this if I was still angry, and to top it off, I need to look out for my sister no matter what, so do me a favor and talk to her, and we see what happens after all that. She embraced him and he returned the love. After his walk, he sat in the hot water and let a hot cloth sit over his eyes, and he let his mind run blank, no thoughts, no nothing. All he did was lean back in the water and relax his body. He stayed like that for a while, then he heard something move in the water, and when he looked up he saw Ria's Akari, Irina, and Hancock coming into the water with him. Shin, what's going on, girls? Ria's, cut the crap talk, something's wrong, and not telling us isn't going to help you, us, or everyone on this island. Akari, she's right, talk to us even if you don't want us to tell the others, we can keep it to ourselves if we have to. Irina, we trust you wholeheartedly now, why can't you do the same for us? Hancock, they right, at least have some trust in us to confide in when you need. Shin just started chuckling at them. Ria's, and what's so funny? Shin, my wife and future wives-to-be are cute when they worry about me. They all blushed at him. Shin, relax, I am not hiding anything. I am just tired, I just need some time to let my brain relax. I am probably gonna sleep like a brick tonight. Akari, are you being serious? Shin, be a big girl and pull up or pants or the demons will make fun of you. She gasped and the other girls looked at her confused, and she was shocked that Shin knew that. Akari, how do you know that? Shin, Granny wanted some lasting words to know she watching over us. Akari got a bit teary-eyed and smiled. Akari, why only tell me now? Shin wanted teasing ammunition. Rise, playing it off, woo, at least he doesn't have any on us, right, Hancock? Both she and Hancock were trying to play it off like they didn't have anything to hide from him, but Shin burst that bubble very quickly. Shin, Hancock has a life-size doll of me in her wardrobe and she holds it, dances with it and practices kissing it. You Rias are afraid of camels, along with the thought that the camel will hurt you. They all gasped. Irina worried, please don't, I am innocent here, I didn't do anything, please have mercy. Shin, and you Iri-chan, you are the worst of them all. You used to think that making bobbies was just thinking about it and the stork would bring them to us. We waited 1 week and nothing happened. At this point they were all beet red knowing he had this blackmail over them. Rias, I am sorry, but I got nothing. The worst thing that you have about your name was being perverted as far back as I can think. Other than that, you're pretty clean. Akari, wait, what? Shin, you mock my old tendencies, but yet when I do those things to you, you didn't seem to complain, did you, Rias? She turned more red, matching her hair color. Akari, what did you two do? Rias whispered in her ear and she slowly started turning more red by the second, and he saw her look down and then the others also looked down, turning more red. Shin, grinning, you've seen what you're in for and I am in the mood for some fun. He picked them all up and took them to the bedroom and they all just started blushing at him. The next morning when they all came for breakfast, the 5 of them were missing. Ravel again. Riser again. Kiba, what do you guys mean again? Ravel, last time he and Rias were missing for a while, given last night they came down in very questionable states. Sayuri, what's that meant to mean? They heard footsteps coming towards them and saw Shin, Rias, Akari, Irina, and Hancock covered in love bites, and the girls had a limp and their hair was a mess. They all sat down on either side of Shin, none of them had any words. Sirzechs, really, you not even gonna hide it? Shin, nope, I am proud of myself. Myra, you girls okay? Rias, blushing, Muyas. Akari, blushing, Menu SNJSN. Hancock, blushing, Jocelyn Hansen Azine. Irina, blushing, Hamyans Anzam Saja. They were all taken back by their response. Minami, Shin, what did you do to them? Shin walked over to her and whispered in her ear, and they watched her face slowly become really red. Minami, beet red, I take it back, and my god, dude. She just laughed and none of the girls could look away from Shin, seeing the state he left his wife and girlfriends in. After breakfast, they all came back to their senses and they then left for some more training. This time they were going to teach their affinity group some different ways to use their new magic, and how to use their magic if they never had it before. Shin, alright, let's do this. Chapter End. Life 28, A Moment in Time. Shin, okay, now then split into your groups and start to practice with your new abilities and remember, have fun. All the dragons nodded and they split into their groups. With Shin. Sirzechs, so what are we doing first? Shin, oh, you all gonna hate me after this. Riaz, how could I hate someone I love? Shin, not that type of hate, babe, just be warned this isn't gonna be fun for anyone, well, maybe Milika's. Shin took him from Sirzechs and placed him on his shoulders. Shin, so the first order of business, I want you to remember out of the 6 affinities we are the exception of the strongest right now. Saji can complain all he wants, but it's the truth. The first affinity to originate was Pyrrhus, so now then my army and my special rankers, your goal for today is to withstand Zet. Kiba, sure, but what is it to begin with? All we know is that it's super powerful and you end things before they even start with it. They all murmured, thinking about how he's used it recently and how powerful it really was. Shin thought about it and then thought of a way to describe it to them. Shin, think of it as my will over others and to make them submit to the stronger power. Remember, I have no limit anymore, so it would be great if my affinity members were capable of doing things the other affinities won't be able to do. Sirzechs, what about Akari and Saji? They are the stronger of the other 5, wouldn't they also get Zen? Shin, right, you are Zechs, but mine can make them submit. They can't do that to me. Ravel, okay, so what are we doing first? Shin, just be able to stand with maybe 1/10 of my power. Let's just see how you withstand some of it so you know the feeling. They watched as red spread from under him and spread all around them. A heavy feeling weighed on their chests and their bodies were screaming at them to run, but they couldn't, they were stuck. Riser, just what is this power? Ravel, it's stronger than when he used it to scar me. This feels different, very different. Riaz, this is too much. My legs want to give in, but I can't fall. I need to be better than the rest of them as his bride. Kiba, I'm gonna be sick. Why does it affect us like this? Sirzechs, Linlin was onto something. Being on the other end of this is different than being protected. Ruvel, I've never experienced this type of power. If the devils had this, we wouldn't have any problem ever. I can see why they were compared to God himself. After a while, Shin dropped it, and Riaz was the last one standing. But she then soon fell forward, and Shin caught her and gave her a peck. Shin, well done guys, but that was 10 minutes. Riaz grabbed his hand. Riaz, I promise I'll get stronger. He kissed her forehead and then they went again. With Akari. Akari, okay, so this will be my first time. Azazel, would you mind helping me out, please? Azazel, sure thing, boss. He stepped aside and walked to her and faced the others. Akino, so what are we doing first? Akari, I call it wind appreciation. Momo, mind explaining? Akari, sure, when I hear the wind it feels like I can draw the magic from the wind and give myself a boost. When I started it was the first thing I felt when Shin had me practice my magic detection. The power from the wind was the first thing I felt and pulled towards that power. Gasper, that's good and all, but do you remember how you first did it? Akari, that's the fun part. We're going to start with just feeling that power of the wind. Remember the incantation when I create my Ventus members. Feel the wind under wings. I have a feeling that is meant to be in the literal sense. I mean, even look at Skyres. She can hover on wind alone, so I think we should first understand and appreciate the wind around us. That is our lesson for the day. Tsubaki, then what are we waiting for? Smoothie, happy. I am excited to learn, Lady Akari. They all sat down and started meditating. Since they were on the mountainside, the wind pressure was especially high. And for the first time ever, the others felt the power of the wind. Before, they just felt the magic at its essence. But now, focusing on the wind and their new affinities and powers, being linked to the wind felt different for something they never thought about. They could feel the difference in how they were preserving the wind. Azazel was over the moon. He never thought about magic like this and was wanted to know more about his new gift. As they sat there, they all felt the wind pressure change, and when they looked, they could see the wind swirling around Akari, and she had a green tint to her aura. She was radiating so much power. It was amazing to see it up close. Akari, as you can see, the wind is flowing around me, but I'm only just drawing the power from the wind. Here is your real test. Draw power from the wind to make yourself stronger. Akino, oh my, did you plan this all out for us? Akari, yup. Shin said, think of something only I can do and the others can't, so this was it. Azazel, then let's follow your lead. With Minami. Minami, okay, let's do this. Let's first just sit in the water and chat a bit. Sona okay. They all sat in the water and Minami just looked a bit too happy with being in the water. Even Locke got into the water and just drifted in the water in his big form. All they could see was the top of his head and the ice spikes leaving his back as he swam around them. Graphia, Lady Minami, is there a reason to be this deep in the water? Minami, smiling, not particularly, I just wanted to be in the water. I am sure Sona knows that we draw power from it. Serafal, mind explain to us. Volley, yeah, I don't like the fact I can't see below me and that's with my dragon eyes. Minami, that's cause we're over the Aqua Capital. There is a massive city network below us. It's where I was born. It is where most of us will live for the foreseeable future. Besides Graphia, who will likely stay in the Pyrus Capital with Shin and Sirzechs, and Sona with Saji in the Darkness Capital. Sona, light blush. Besides that, what is your lesson to teach us? I am curious now. Minami, to be fair, it's very similar to what the others are doing now because it is how we slowly started getting in tune with our powers. Besides Shin and Saji, they are different cases, but we girls all had one thing in common when we started learning about our abilities in depth. We draw from said affinity, so I want us all to flow with the water and let it take us to the capital. Volley, I'm sorry, but I find it hard to believe it could be that simple, and the four of us are ice users. Are we not? Wouldn't doing something related to that be more beneficial? Minami, not in the slightest. Asterisk grins. I believe for us to master our ice abilities, we first need to learn about the water part of our abilities. I mean, two of us were part of the Leviathan family, which is a sea monster, not an ice monster. Serafal, fair enough, so how do we get started? They all grouped while Volley reluctantly kept a bit of a distance. Minami, float on your back and just let go. Relax your mind and just float. Feel the water around you and draw from it. She started floating on her back and Volley had to look away because her assets were basically just floating outside the water. Albion, just do it. What is the worst that can happen? We already become stronger than before. If the girl is right, then you have every reason to follow her into battle. Volley nodded and floated on his back, then the others did as well. They all slowly drifted towards each other and could feel the currents changing. They looked around them and saw Minami with a blue tint around her as she was taking in power from the water. Minami, if you can see the power I'm talking about, try and draw from it. Volley, what is the worst that can happen? Locke swam past them, making a wave and making them lose focus, but Minami kept her focus, allowing the water to just wash over her. They all sighed and tried again. With Suri, her group walked to the temple ruins, which is the light capital of the island. Irina, this place is really nice. Roswace, I know it feels almost too unreal. I can feel the magic coming from the whole area. Suri, that's kind of the plan for today. Zenovia, what is? Suri, okay, so out of the 6 affinities, 4 of us will be doing the same thing while the other 2 will be doing their own thing. Biko, you mean Shin and Saji? Suri, yes, you see, with us 4 girls, we all learned something at the very beginning, and that was an appreciation for our affinity. Akari wind, Minami water, and Myra the earth, with myself being light. I want us to focus on first feeling the power we can draw from light itself to give us an edge in a battle. Burley, interesting take, but how would we even start? I am going from mirror hopping to light magic. I've never even seen light magic in my life. Biko, same with me. Roswace, I've used light magic, but just basic stuff. Irina, I sued to have the Excalibur sword mimic, which had me generate some light magic. Zenovia, I've only seen Irina use light magic. Suri, good, then that means you all won't have any problems. We keeping it simple for us 4 girls. When we put together our plans for today, we agreed to just try and draw power from the light around you. That's basically it. Follow my lead. They walked with her towards an empty temple floor that was getting direct sunlight. Suri, okay, now we going to meditate. Think about magic detection and how you trace it, but think about the light around you. Only don't look for other magic or those around you. Just think about the light and that's it. They all did, and at first it was extremely difficult. They were all too used to basic magic detection, and they kept thinking they had it, but kept seeing it was the barrier surrounding the island or someone on the other end of the island, or it was just Shin showing his group how to use fire, or Saji and his group. Irina, wow, I didn't think this would be so tough. Suri, just breathe and watch me as I slowly take in the light that's on my body. They watched as she started to get a gold tint to her, then she started floating and she was drawing energy from the light. Biko, guys, I think I have an idea. Lady Suri said she going to take the light that's on her body. Why don't we just do the same, focus on what's around us, then expand? Suri, not a bad shout, why not give it a try? They all did this, and slowly but surely they were all taking an habit of light magic and getting used to the feeling. With Myra in the canyons. Myra, oh boy, this is a big group. Sir Georg, you've got this lady Myra. She took a deep breath and then spoke. Myra, okay, so first things first, don't expect a big and long training expertise. I've planned with the other 3 girls, and we came to the conclusion to all have the same first training lesson. Konko, what's that? Myra, okay, so we going to chill out in the canyon and feel the earth around us and draw power from it. Cracker, then what are we waiting for? Sir Georg, sounds easy enough. Myra, I hope so, so let's start with some meditating and then we can see. They all started meditating, trying to feel the earth around them. Kaneko tried to keep focused, but her sister sat next to her, and she didn't like it no matter how hard she tried. Koroka's presence agisted her. Kaneko, agitated, can you please move somewhere else? Koroka, but why can't I sit next to my sister? Koroka was sad that Kaneko didn't want her around. She had hoped that this change for all of them would make things better, but it didn't. Myra, Sir Georg, and Cracker started watching, knowing what was going, and the few members of the army also heard the conversation. Konko, you aren't my sister, you haven't been one for years, so don't try and start now. Koroka's heart broke hearing that, but she just stayed still and tried to put it aside and didn't say anything. But Kaneko got more agitated and used what she already knew about her abilities to push Koroka away. Koroka, why did you do that? Kaneko, I asked you to move, yet you didn't, so I moved you. Koroka, I get you not happy with me, but you don't need to go around just doing that to someone. I didn't even talk to you, I just sat near you. Konko, you make my skin crawl, I don't want to see you or be around you. Koroka, but we sisters, you can't change that, we bonded by blood. Konko, I don't need you, and I'll kill you if you try and kill Shin or Myra like you did our last master. Koroka, you don't even know the reason why I did what I did. Kaneko, you were greedy, and when you left, Sirzechs found me tearing up, and he introduced me to Riaz, who was more than a sister to me than you could ever be. Then I met Shin, who was even better than Riaz. And now I have Lady Myra crying, I don't need you, I never needed you. You always did what was best for you. You never took a thought about me, and when you left I had nothing. So this and me cutting you out, Geodai, someplace where you won't bother me or my family. She ran away, leaving Koroka in shock. She wanted to hit something, but she just started crying and fell to the ground and cried her heart out. Myra, Cracker, and Sir Georg went to her to comfort her. Myra, what is going on with you two? What's your side of the story? Shin told me about a few problems, but I only know she has this hatred for you. Why is that? I won't hold it against you. You're part of my family now, and your past means nothing to me. Koroka, crying, our first master wasn't the great man the devils painted him out to be. You see, my sister and I are Nekomata, and the last one's at that too. That man used to experiment on me. And for months I took the abuse he did to me to try and make me stronger. But then one day he said he was done with me and was going to start experimenting on Cheyenne. Next, she was so small, barely able to even talk at the time. And I snapped and I attacked him and killed him. They made me a stray devil because I killed my master. I had no choice but to run and leave her behind because they were ready to kill me. And if I had Cheyenne with me, then they would have killed her too. I wanted to tell her, but I couldn't. She already hates me and will think that I am lying about everything. I just don't know what to do anymore. She's so deep in hatred for me. I just don't know what to do anymore. It's hopeless. She the last blood family I have left, and now she wasn't me dead. She carried on crying, and Myra sent the recording to Shin, who started listening to it with Riaz, and they both waited for Kaneko to come to them, and she did. A few minutes later, Kaneko arrived to where Shin and Riaz were. They looked at her, and she came to them. She hugged them and cried. Shin held her while Riaz crouched next to them and hugged them both. After a few minutes, she started to calm down. Shin, you going to be fine, but I think we need to talk about something regarding your sister. Kaneko, what about her? She isn't my sister. Shin, so I already knew what happened. Myra told me of the confrontation, and while waiting for you I spoke to Sirzechs about something, and it was something that even Riaz vaguely knew about. Riaz, he's right, the matter regarding your sister was complicated, yes, but it has its reasons for that. Sirzechs came closer and sat with them. Sirzechs, you see, Kaneko, when I came across you all those years ago, there was something I decided to keep from you since we didn't know or understand the situation ourselves. You see, when we got to scene and when we found you, We also found all the equipment for devil experimentation, and all his research notes and what he did to your sister, and it was a long list. As is, if you find him later will agree that that list would be extremely dangerous to anyone that is put through it. We couldn't just claim anything about the situation because the last person to be experimented on was Koroka. She held the information we needed to put that case behind us, but we couldn't find your sister, so we marked her a stray to capture her, but treated it like we would any other stray, but those that were set after her knew to capture. But to the outside was to kill due to her being the key suspect towards whether the death of your old master had its superior reasons. Konko was shocked. She didn't realize the reasons to why Koroka did what she did. She always believed that Koroka was being greedy. Shin, then we have the matter of this. He played the playback of what Myra sent him, and tears welled up in her eyes, realizing what she just done to her sister who was trying to protect her. Sirzechs, if I was still a devil king, this was more than enough to clear your sister of her crimes. Because experimentation of devils is forbidden, they were never allowed, so with this statement your sister would have been cleared. Asked any high-ranking devil, they will all agree. Shin, remember I told you to talk to your sister. I think you should go say sorry to her. Riaz, we will be here for you always, but I think you should go to your sister Kaneko. Shin, come on, let's go. Shin stood up and held his hand out in front of her. Shin, everyone deserves a second chance. Asterisk smiles. She took his hand and then the two disappeared. Riaz, well then we might as well keep trying to draw power from the campfires we set up. Riser, why is this so difficult? They looked at Riser and Ruvel's fire going out, and they were getting frustrated since they couldn't draw from it evenly and not just zap it dry. Sirzechs, yup, let's get back to it. Back in the canyons, Shin had brought back Kaneko to Myra, and the others. When he arrived, his power washed over all of them, breaking everyone out of the concentration they had. Myra, oh hey, you back. She got up and hugged him, and he hugged her back. Shin, good to see everything is going smoothly, yay. Myra nodded with a smile on her face. Shin, now then Kaneko, remember baby steps. She nodded and ran to her sister and hugged her, shocking Koroka, who looked ready to cry again. Kaneko, crying, I am sorry, I said those bad things to you, I don't want you to die, please, please forgive me, I didn't know the full story, I'm sorry. She carried on asking for forgiveness, and Koroka just held her sister, happy to know that she was back in her arms. Koroka, I promise I won't leave you behind ever again. They both cried, and Shin just leaned on Myra, forcing her to start struggling to keep him up. Myra, struggling, jackass, you ruining the moment for all of us. Shin, yeah, it's just nice to see. Just then shadows spread all over the island, and they heard a monstrous screech going in the distance. Even Vertex came out of the ground to look at what was going on. Shin, curious how what's going on, Saji. They all made their way to the Pyrus capital, because it was easier to get to the darkness abyss below the island. Hancock, my love, what's going on? Shin, if I am right, we have another beast with us. Shin opened the gate and they arrived in a completely black abyss, but the dragons could see what was going on. Riaz, what's going on? I can hear the fighting but can't see a thing. Suri, I can help with that. She illuminated the room area and they could see Saji, Katakuri, Baby 5, Leffe and Author all busy fighting a mysterious-looking creature. Saji, help us please. They were all going to help, but Shin stopped them. Rise, Shin, what are you doing? We need to help him. Shins, no, let them fight. I know you all want to help, but it won't do him any good if you help him. Zona, but Shin, but nothing. My wife and cousins all fought their beasts, yes, with all your help, and Saji has the help he needs, so why worry? And if it makes you feel any better, then I'll step in if need be. Zarafal, thank you. Saji turned into a shadow and started attacking Hydronoid in various places, but it grew another head and its power started growing. Saji, shit, what do I do? He watched as his members were pushed back and he was all alone facing off against it. Saji covered his arms with his scales and started running towards Hydronoid and flip kicked, but it used its tails to knock him against a wall. He forced himself up and started bleeding from his head. He started to get tunnel vision and he could feel a different change. A pair of red eyes started to spread all around him and hit him with its gaze. He started trying to run away from it. Then he froze. So it looks like that old ass finally picked a successor, but I think it's time to let go of everything, young one. He looked around and was confused. He wanted to scream, but he didn't have a voice. Relax, you having an out-of-body experience when you found me on that island with your king. I noticed you both the same, but still different, but you have the potential to do great things. A figure made of shadows came into his vision and held its claws around his neck. Don't try and run from this. That old bastard Corvo made the same choice. Now then, let's see if you're going to be any different from him. You already use the abilities in different ways compared to him, but you holding back, be stronger than your king. Nothing is stopping you from that. The shadows started spreading faster and he could feel something filling inside of him. He watched as the figure turned into complete shadows once again and then forced itself inside his body. When he came back to reality, Hydronoid was about to bite him, but he forced it back with wings of shadows. They watched as the shadows spread around him and started channeling out the light Siri made. Saji, you're meant to be my tamed beast, huh? He used his shadows and wrapped it around its head and forced it down to the ground and forced Zetan around the whole room, shocking those around him. Hydronoid didn't submit and grew its third head. Then he pulled out his sword made from Big Mom's soul, and that just amplified his power. Saji grinned as his horns grew out of his head. Saji, I said submit. The anger from Big Mom's soul and his new power influx shooting through the roof, Hydronoid then submitted to him. He dropped the power and took a deep breath, then used his shadows and wrapped them around Sona. She made an eep noise as she was grabbed, then he pulled her into a deep kiss and she kissed him back. They thought they were going to pull away, but weren't. Shin, and I think that's US. Shin snapped his fingers and they were all back at the Pyrus capital. And they all decided to relax. Riser, you guys okay? Azazel, yeah, where's Saji? Ravel, wait, where's Sona? Shin, oh, he seemed to awaken his powers and now I think he and Sona are getting it on in the abyss below us. Sirzechs, one of the last things I thought would be happening today. Shin, we getting somewhere, I can feel it, so let's relax for the rest of the day. They all nodded and just went to the beach and enjoyed the free time, especially Shin and Akari, who started surfing with the waves. Minami, Grafia, Vali, and Searfall were making showing off to the others. Little do they know the sun set off a large solar flare and something started making its way towards them. Chapter end. Life 29, Accept the Reality. While relaxing on the island, Shin had this nagging feeling in the back of his head. Even D-Drag could feel it. D-Drag, something is coming. Shin, be prepared, it's strong. Shin just started walking around the island. They all noticed him just walking around the island randomly like he was looking for something. Ria's hazy acting weird. Akari, I thought it was just me. Irina, let's go see what the others are doing then. They walked through the Pyrus capital and saw Hancock doing her work to keep her status afloat. The Amazon woman was still hard at work with her. Then the new Pyrus army was a mixed range of training, relaxing, or messing around with their magic. It wasn't anything that they hadn't seen yet. Ria's okay, so not here. On the way out of the Pyrus capital, Sirzechs joined them walking around. They went to the Wind capital next, and it wasn't that different. The Wind users were practicing. Akino, hey, is Shin alright? He was here a few minutes ago. He looked stressed. They could see the concern on her face about him. Ria's, that's what we're trying to figure out actually. We noticed this since this morning. Akari, besides him, how's the training going? Azazel, well, we moving well, but when Shin came by, it was weird. It seemed like something bad was going to happen. Momo, I had that feeling too. As he left, the winds started picking up and they didn't have a freeing feeling, but rather a feeling of dread. Tsubaki, Gasper, I think you guys still go on ahead and see what you find out. Well, stay here and let you know if he comes past. Azazel, I'll come along if the Pyrus Monarch and Light Monarch are present, then the Ventus Monarch should go see what's going on as well. Akari, yeah, that sounds good. Please call us if he comes past here again. They all nodded and the group left. Momo, you think Shin is okay? Akino, we won't know till something happens, whether it's good or bad. They all nodded in agreement. The group then made it to the Aqua capital and found Kiba and Saji in the water with the Aqua group. Kiba, oh great Sirzechs, Shin came by a few minutes ago. He didn't say anything, but Locke seems a bit off since. Minami, yeah, it's weird. I mean, look at Hydronoid and Skyrus. They looked at the beasts and they even looked on edge. Vali, I don't even pick up on anything dragon-related besides Lady Akari, Lady Minami, and Lord Jinshir. Saji, yeah, I don't even pick up on anything. Katakuri, but he seemed worried about something. I wonder what Lord Shin is looking for. Irina, well, we going to go and take a look and see what's going on with him. Minami, Saji, you guys and your monarchs wanna tag along. This might turn into our problem to deal with. They nodded and Minami, Sona, Saji and Author got out of the water. Akari, do the rest of you mind sticking around here in case he comes back? They nodded. Katakuri, by all means, Lady Akari. They left and went towards the canyons where they found Myra and her army busy terraforming the area to make it better suited for them. Sirzechs looks good, guys. Sergeorg, well, I called it. The leaders and monarchs are on the case. You just missed him. Akari, figured he's been like this since this morning, but besides that, what's going on? Why is so much terraforming? Riaz, sure, it looks good, but still seems extravagant, don't you think? Myra, we felt a bit cramped and Shin didn't say anything about it. If anything, he looked like he wanted us to make this place our own. Kaneko, but for real though, what is going on with him? Sirzechs, not sure, but we'll find out soon enough. But Myra, Koruka, mind coming with us, please? This might be something leaders and monarchs need to handle. Myra, oh sure thing. Sergeorg, Cracker, mind handling the rest of the renovations for me, please? Both leave it to us. By the way, I think he went to the light runes next. Well, it's the general direction he went. Irina, thanks, well, let you all know if something goes wrong. They nodded and they left to the light ruins. Suri, seems like I need 5 of you here with my monarch. Irina, yeah, something seems off. Biko, well, not sure where he could go after this. Leafy, yeah, no one is in the dark abyss currently. We spread out to see how the others are doing. Riaz, was wondering why you guys were spread out today, but yay, Suri, we need your help, please. Suri, sure thing, you guys good to hang tight till we come back. Zenovia, oh sure thing, we need more work here, but well, let you know if he does come back here. She nodded and left with the group. As they walked, they came across Corvo and Runa's busy having some tea. Corvo, and you owe me a drink, Runes. Runes, yeah, yay, but you still need to tell them. Riaz, tell us what? Corvo, you younglings won't be able to feel it, but since this morning Leonidas has made his appearance on the island, Shin is hunting out that beast because he knows of its destructive power. Saji, how bad are we talking, old man? Corvo, you like this island, don't you? They all realized how bad this was going to get very quickly. Sirzechs, crap, then everyone needs to be on high alert. They were about to run, but Corvo stopped them with his Zen. Corvo, relax, I am sure you've seen the other beasts acting weirdly. Akari, yeah. Corvo, they also feel Leonidas like Shin leads all of you. Leonidas leads them, so I suggest don't interfere, not like you could deal with that beast anyways. Akari, it's going to be bad, isn't it? Corvo, yup, Kendrick nearly lost his damn arm taming the thing. That beast is called the demonic dragon, formed from the concentration of dark magic and negative emotions, and stitched together from the dying corpses of fallen dragons and its soul stitched together by the negativity that made it. That thing is so dangerous, only one was found and only one exists. Leonidas, the bringer of death, it's more sentient than the other beasts and can even speak, and if it got more than 4 wings, then Apollinaire has fully merged with it, making it more dangerous. Saji, who Apollinaire? Corvo, the beast before Kendrick found Leonidas, a 8-winged dragon fueled with the elements of pure power. Remember, I told you, my brother, and I tamed ferocious beasts. Saji, but Hydronoid. Corvo is the strongest of the 5, but when it comes to Pyrrhus, don't compare. Akari, then what do we do? Corvo, sit back and watch. Leonidas is a tactical beast, and if Apollinaire is around as well or even merged with it, then we are in for an interesting fight. You saw how each of you had to deal with your own beasts. Shin needs to deal with his. Sona, better said than done, we had a bit of help. Corvo, and Shin has D-Dryag and a Dragon Slayer sword and the Dragon King sword, so he has all he needs, but I suppose his mates should get ready to comfort him. Leonidas is a negative creature, and will use negativity to its advantage, bringing every single bad memory and emotion out of its victim full force. A barrier then went up. Corvo, might as well go see what's going on. They all teleported to the barrier, and they saw 2 massive beasts trapped in a barrier seal with Shin. Leonidas. Apollinaire. Shin, great. Shin pulled out his swords and got ready. D-Dryag, be warned, these dragons are on another level of power. Shin nodded, covered himself with scales, and got ready. It was a simple god who was stronger, so Shin rushed Leonidas first, but before he could even land a hit, Shin was hit back by Apollinaire, who used a twin blade and created more fire with it. Shin, then looks like your ass is first for a beating. He fully let go of the restraints he had on himself, then rushed Apollinaire and started sticking him with 9 sword style. He followed up with his dragon strength and the power boost he was getting from the Pyrrhus ring and started using his Zeton to create deep red lighting and used it to attack Apollinaire. When he landed again, he noticed that Apollinaire was being protected by Leonidas. Both creatures made a grin-like appearance towards him. Jin shit. He was blasted with deep red fire from Leonidas, and all the negative emotions came running to him. The feelings he felt when his family started to ignore him and he went down the path of lust, how he felt when he lost Riaz the first time, then moving on to have more women that love him also move on from him. He then saw all his friends slowly leave his life and how he was left alone. He then saw life if he never became a devil and really died that day, and saw how happy they all looked without him. With all that hitting him so fast, he threw up thinking about it and landed kneeling in front of both of them. Leonidas, we. He kicked him in the gut. Leonidas, pathetic, your father was a better dragon than you'll ever be. Apollinaire, perhaps his genes really didn't carry over, there was so much hope for you. They both started to charge fire bolts towards him and then hit him down on the ground. Shin Danum. He forced himself up covered in blood, looked at the two of them and pulled out his father's blade and his dragon slayer blade. Shin tired, I have no idea where you two get off thinking you could have bested me in a 2-on-1. He set both blades alight and covered them with Zeton. The two looked at each other and nodded. And fused together, creating one massive monster in front of him. The other beasts then came in front of him as well. Shin maximum effort. He bolted towards Tigris and Vertex and cut them down before they could do anything, then dodged a wind slash from Skyrus and followed up with a slash coming from Hydronoid. He then did something that shocked all of them. He started to spin, creating a tornado of fire, then it started getting a blue tinged in the flames, and they noticed that the ground was started to get wet. Minami shocked, is he using water magic? They were all taken back by the fact he just did that. When the tornado sent the 4 beasts far away from the fight, he stood there with one sword covered in fire and another covered with ice. He then looked at the rest, then burst forward again, and this time Locke came running to try and hit him with a wave of ice spikes, but Shin sliced once with both swords, that creating a massive explosion. Those around him thought that he was hurt, but watching him jump through the flames with both swords pointed at the massive beast in front of him, red lighting started to shoot off his body violently, and the 2 blades made one massive blade of red lighting, and he sliced down and split the 2 beasts back into their own bodies. Once separated, they tried to get back to each other, but Shin shut that down by kicking one away and hurting it. He first grabbed Apollinaire and then broke its jaw with a single punch from him, then he bolted back to Leonidas trying to kill him from behind and sent his sword into the gem on its chest, severely wounding it. The two lay on the ground severely injured. Shin submit. He flared his aura, breaking the dome around him, and all the beasts and those watching and those living on the island could feel the raw power coming from him. They watched as the two crawled to him and lowered their heads. He then grabbed Leonidas by his horns and raised its head. Shin, just try and piss me off, it'll make sure you're dead, understood? Leonidas, understood, master. It lowered its head again. Apollinaire, I shall follow your lead, master. Shin, good. He then sat down and the boosted gear started to form on his arm and started violently sparking, and they could hear D-Drake screaming in pain. Shin, hey D-Drake, what's going on? They all ran to him thinking something was wrong, but then a large energy surge went off and D-Drake's body was being reconstructed once he was fully constructed. D-Drake, I am free, I have my body back. New D-Drake. He landed and the 3 D-Drake, Apollinaire and Leonidas with all the beasts came and kneeled in front of Shin while the others stood behind them. Leonidas, welcome back, King of Dragons, we are here to protect you and those on the island. Apollinaire agreed. D-Drake, be sure I'll always have your back, partner. Azazel, but how this is a new version of D-Drake that's ever been recorded. Shin, yeah, what happened, man? D-Drake, I am not sure myself, there was just so much power flowing through me that I became this. Saji, to be fair D-Drag, you look like you hit the gym honestly. D-Drag, indeed I feel as if I've been granted a whole new life with this power. Shin, Apollinaire, Leonidas, what's going on here? Leonidas, you fought us and our power along with your own started to intertwine, giving D-Drag a new body. Sirzechs, imagine we were on opposite sides. With these three alone you'd end all the devils. Zorogorg, agreed Shin, but this amazing. Shin, so what now? Leonidas, relax, we are all now ready to journey with you to the overworld to balance nature before the world tears itself apart. Shin, okay then. The beasts all went to their small forms and D-Drag flew onto Shin's shoulder, but then Leonidas and Apollinaire started fighting with each other for the other shoulder, making the others laugh at the interaction. Milika's Ide. Shin looked down at Milika's walking toward him. Shin picked him up, then Milika's grabbed all three dragons laughing while holding them. Leonidas, unhand me child. Milika's started playing with them like toys and Shin chuckled at them. Shin, beast, do me a favor, watch over Milika's and the other children on the island. We will come find you when we are ready. The other beast then ran off and D-Drag grew slightly and flew away with Miliaka's laughing in delight. Sirzechs, what was that for? Shin, nothing, I am just tired. He grabbed Ria's, Irina, Akari and Hancock and walked off. Shin, you heard them, let's take a chill pill, we can leave tomorrow. They all shrugged and then went to go do their own thing. With Shin, he just laid on the bed with his mates. Ria's, you okay? Shin, yeah, one of the spells they used just messed with my head and made me think you all moved on from me and found a new boyfriend and husband, then made me witness your lives without me in it and made it seem like you were all better off without me. Irina, PSH, you really think you'd get rid of us that easily? Shin, didn't say that, just made it feel a bit too real, it really played on my emotions. Hancock, I think just try and relax, my love. Akari then brought his head to her lap and kissed him. Akari, you know Parnya is the but everything right and thinking about it isn't going to help you in the slightest. Shin grabbed her hand and held it tightly. Shin, I know, I just need some time with the ones I love most right now. They all smiled and cuddled up next to him and got comfy. Shin, man, tomorrow's going to be a long day. Ria's, yeah, we going all over the world just to stabilize nature's balance. Irina, if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be here now preparing for that, I'd say you lying. Hancock, I could say the same and call you crazy for saying a man took my heart, but I guess life has a weird way of working out like that, huh? Ria's, yeah, 2 years ago I was fighting a marriage proposal, then Shin entered my life and made it all the better. Akari, yeah, when I think about it, 2 years ago I was running from bullies, then Shin came back into my life and made it all the more better. They all chuckled thinking about the massive impact he's had on all of them in the last 2 years. Ria's, my love, what about you? Silence. They looked up at him and he was sleeping with a small smile on his face. They knew he was tired and let him rest, then decided to take a nap as well with him. The others on the island went to either go and practice their magic or have some fun around the island with the various beasts busy playing with the people, all for a change, having some fun and not worried about what dangers could harm them. Chapter end. Life 30 to the Overworld Season 2 end. Later that day, Shin sat with Saji, Minami, Suri, Akari, and Myra in their meeting area for all 6 affinities. Saji, so wanna tell us why you called us here, man? Shin, yay, so tomorrow is the day we spread around the world and clear it. I just wanted to see how each of you would be going about it. Saji, well, I need to go to the deepest point of the world and then spread my darkness from there. Getting there, I have no clue, but we will make plans to get there. Plus, we technically just need to go last, which needs to let the world rest. Shin, fair enough, what about you 4? Minami, well, I'll be going to the Arctic Circle and see if I can first find where all the oceans meet, then I'd able to create a vortex sending the light and wind with the purified water throughout the planet. Akari, I am going to the highest point to spread the pure air around the world, where then the others could do what they need to do. Suri, I need to go to where the equator and the Greenwich meridian meet. The gravity there is low and there should be a clear light of sight for us to cast the beacon so the world knows where and what to do while you settle the mantle. Myra, yay, it'll be with Suri, low gravity makes a great place for me to grab all the tectonic plates to make your time in the mantle a better place. Shinwei. Right, not bad, not bad. Seems we all have our tasks set out. But now here's my question when it comes to actually getting that mantle. Stable volcanoes around the world are probably going to shoot out a lot of magma, since the pressure I'll be causing will impact them the most. And with the sudden stopping of the tectonic plates, I think Myra and Minami need to also take into account of the water and tsunamis will cause. By doing all this, so I think Minami see, if you can calm the oceans, I think it might even help Saji as his group is making their descent. SJ, not a bad shout, didn't think about that. All I knew was as we got deeper than the it's gonna get worse with underwater currents. They all nodded in agreement. Shin, but how are all of your lives changed in a matter of less than a month? Akari, I am as happy as can be honestly. I have my family and the love of my life smiles. Saji, the same could be said for me honestly. I am with Sona now and as happy as I could ever get. All I honestly need or want now is to have my siblings join me, then it'd be set. Minami, I never thought about it. We were bedridden for so long I never got to really think of what I want to be one day. Suri, yeah, she's right, for it's already more than what I am used to. I mean, the three of us really didn't do much living until recently. Myra, preach, but here's a question. Shin, what are you going to be doing now? With D-Dryag out the boosted gear, is it still functional like before? Shin, yay, he can come and go as he pleases. Like today he's spending some time freeing his wings around the island, but when he comes back it's like he wasn't separated at all. Saji, it's weird though, I've never seen Azazel that excited ever. I mean, Seraphal and Sirzechs were even confused seeing him like that. Shin, yay, the new form is really stronger than anything he's had before, but he's been in my head for so long I think he prefers it. They all chuckled thinking about the dragon's newfound freedom. Myra, but hey Shin, I was wondering something. Shin, shoot. Myra, Akino, do you actually like her? Akari, yay, I was wondering myself. I mean, she's claimed just as much as Ria's did that she loves you, yet you never addressed it. Shin, I don't know right now, it's weird right now. I didn't want to in the beginning, but I did grow to care for her a lot, but it's just too soon to act. Plus, I also want to focus on my other relationships before I just start adding more girls. I don't even know if I want more girls in the relationship right now. Akari, fair, you don't want to hurt anyone, do you? Shin, not really, it's just a lot right now. I'll handle it in time. Akari, and as your wife, I'll defiantly watch over you if you need. Shin, thanks Akari, * smiles. Suri, now on to other topics. The island is really growing nicely. I hope Hancock and the new people of the island get to the light capital soon. I'd really love to see what it looked like in its prime. Minami, now here's a better topic. Shin, how's your water control? Shin, oh yay, I forgot about that. I haven't used it since yesterday. He placed his hand on the table and made some water spread on the table, and he froze it and made some simple patterns. Shin, as far as I've got, but it's better than nothing. She smiled at him and he squinted at him. Shin, I wouldn't know. Minami, well, I suppose we need to see what our bloodlines were. Myra, no kidding, well, we know we can scratch darkness off the list. Saji is the only one who has the power and uncle hasn't been with a woman like that. Saji, but while on the topic of this, in a hypothetical sense, Shin, if the other three had to come to you because they want the fire blood, would you let them be with you? So then the hypothetical kids would have both sets of affinities, and in a hypothetical sense even I'd need to consider it if any of them wanted the darkness affinity to spread as well. Suri, blushing, I would have hit you for even mentioning it, but he's not wrong. I thought about it. I'd like my kids to be strong if I have them. Myra, yeah, same. I don't want a repeat of history. Minami, you know, even if we did, we would need to first talk to their girlfriends and wife. Akari, even when I think about it, my kids will definitely have both affinities, but in all honesty, I would like to talk to the others and Shin himself. I don't want him to feel pressured if we did go down that path. Shin, yay, plus I wouldn't want too much inbreeding because, for example, if I am the father to 4 of your kids, then they wouldn't be able to say, hey, I like this one, because they would be siblings. Myra, valid point. Saji, if we talking about this, then think of breaking the ring of our affinities down the middle and 2 of us go to you so the kids wouldn't have that genetic connection. Saji, too soon to give an honest answer, but not a bad idea, but I think let's first fix the overworld before we think of just spawning a bunch of kids. They all chuckled and nodded. After their meeting, they all went to go find their groups and see how they doing. Shin found Ria's and Sirzechs busy training with Leonidas, Apollinaire and D-Drag training them with fire. Shin, I take it fire magic and dragon fire magic is different. Leonidas, yes master. Apollinaire, while some got a hang of it fast, these two can take on both with ease, very similar to yourself. D-Drag, I am even more impressed with the redhead. Sirzechs, oh thanks D-Drag. D-Drag, I was talking about your sister, but regardless you both are interesting. Sirzechs laughed it off and Riaz just had a smile. Shin, so we ready? Riaz, hopefully what we got used to mostly for today was getting used to the sudden increase of heat. We know the mantle won't be easy, hell neither location will be an easy one to handle, but we still want to be ready. Ravel, but what are we doing in the mantle to begin with? I mean it's the mantle, what else is there? Shin, oh we figured that when Myra pulls the tectonic plates and holds them still the mantle will start to become unstable and hot magma will shoot to the surface, so we suspect that our role is to keep the fire and Maga calm, so then the others can do what they need. Riser, well then you can count on us. Shin nodded. Shin, well I am going to go check on the others to see if they need some help with something. Riaz, I'll come with you, I am beating Zech anyways. Shin chuckles, good luck old man, she's beating you already. Sirzechs, not for long. Shin and Riaz went to the mountainside first and found the group chilling in the air. Shin pulled Riaz onto his back and flew up to them. Aquino, oh my what a surprise. Akari, yeah thought you were going to handle your army. Shin, Leonidas, Apollinaire and D-Drag gave them the green light, so I came here to see if any of you need help with something. Tsubaki, not in particular. Momo, yeah we've been getting used to the wind around us. Azazel, yeah and Skyers, as much as she doesn't speak it's obvious, she understands what we're trying to do and helps now and again. Gasper, question though, what happens after all this? Shin, what do you mean? Gasper, after we settle the world, what are we going to do after this? Like, are we going to be attacked, or are we attacking, or are we going into hiding? Shin, well I am not sure. If we stabilize everything then I think it would be a big enough of a slap in the face showing them we will end them. Perhaps even get the overworld to side with us as well. I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Smoothie, alright then I can live with that. Akari, well we just getting the second nature of our abilities because we need to constantly be free from the wind, if you get what I mean. Shin, for sure, I'll see you all later. They waved him off and they flew down to the light capital. Irina, oh hey darling, what's going on? Shin, oh nothing, just checking in is all. Riaz, what have you all been up to? Zenobia, getting a hang of this light magic. Irina and Roswace has been helping me get better with control, it's a first for me. Shin, nice, keep it up, I know you'll get it right. She smiled at them as happy as can be. Irina, is something wrong with you to be checking up on us? Suri, yeah, after the meeting I thought everything was good. Jin shrugged and smiled. Shin, just felt like seeing everyone, but now I am off to Myra now, see how everyone is doing, see you later. They smiled and nodded and watched him fly off. When he got to the canyon they heard screaming and chanting. It confused them a bit and came closer and saw a few of them fighting Verdex for fun. Shin, what's going on here? Surarog, oh they wanted to try fight Verdex to see how strong it really is and if they got stronger. Shin, valid. Riaz, I don't think our army would survive against those three. Myra, no kidding. Koruka, but other than that, was there anything you wanted in particular? Shin, now just checking and seeing how everyone is doing. Myra, your army's already updated, aren't they? Shin, yup. Myra, great, we are behind, but I think we will be ready enough. Shin, for sure, we'll see you guys, we off to the others and see how they are. They took off again and went towards the Aqua capital. Riaz, I've never seen so many happy people like they found their place in life. Shin, yeah, it's great to see, it feels like I already won this war. As they flew they saw the council busy, enjoying a walk and waved at them. Once at the Aqua capital, they could see Volley trying to turn into a dragon based on the screaming coming from him. Shin, damn, drink more water, you look like you're constipated. Volley, shut it, I'll master this formation. He went back to it and they saw the others busy chilling in the water. Shin, you guys good? Minami, yeah, just relaxing now. He nodded and then left Riaz at the top and swam down to the darkness capital. Once there he saw Saji and the others getting used to their new abilities. Katakuri, Lord Shin, what a pleasure to see you here today. Shin, what's up man, how's everything? Katakuri, as great as can be, we are about to call it and relax for the rest of the day. Eat shit. She shot her large minigun at Hydronoid and she embedded her shadows into the bullets so she could try and do more damage. Shin, looks like you're all sorted. Well, I'll see you guys alter. They nodded and he went back to the Aqua capital and fetched Riaz, and they went back to the Pyrus capital and he went back to the room and just laid back on the bed with Riaz next to him. Riaz, you still tired? Shin, more than you know. She snuggled up next to him and got comfy. Riaz, rest, I'm here, you know we're all here if you need us. He nodded and then gave her a kiss, then just cuddled with her, enjoying her scent. Soon the others all came back and they enjoyed their time together, laughing as much as possible. That night Shin laid with his mates and they stayed silent. Akari, Tomras the day, huh? Shin, yay, for sure it's gonna be a long one. Hancock, I hope everything goes smoothly. Shin, I hope so too. They went asleep that night relatively fast, but the next morning came faster than they thought. Ravel, woo, we got this is gonna be easy, am I right? Smiles. They all nodded in agreement with her. Irina, but I think we can all agree that it's not going to be as easy as we think. Shin, definitely, like we meant to time this stuff well, or we could cause complications for the others. Akari, yeah, that would be bad, but I think let's just relax the best we can and hope for the best. Minami, preach. They all started chuckling with each other. Shin, I can live with that, but Hancock, are you sure you'll be able to handle the island in our absence? Hancock, please, you forget that I am the one who ran this island before you came here. Shin chuckles, I know, it's just I don't want to worry about anything while I am gone. Hancock, your home will still be here when you get back, so go ahead and go save the overworld. Shin nodded and looked at everyone for one last time before they all teleported. Shin, okay, let's go do this. They all nodded and jumped into their portals. Shin and his group found themselves surrounded by large amounts of lava and magma. Akari and her group found themselves at the highest peak of the world and the cool winds surrounded them. Minami's group landed in the Arctic Circle and they could feel the large amount of wild water around them. Mayura's group landed at the equator line with Siri's group where the Greenwich Meridian and the equator line meet each other. And Saji's group landed in Antarctica with a massive sinkhole in front of them. They all looked at each other and nodded, then got to work. Chapter end.